Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Hello, guys. Hello. Hey, hello. I'm waiting for Jack to come in. Jack's on her way in. Hello, guys. Hello, Caitlin, Angel. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Mercy. Hello. You were great on Toddy's live. Oh, I'm so appreciative of Toddy to let me up on the panel. I watched Toddy, but I never had the chance to go up, and her lives are usually a little bit earlier. So I'm so glad that I was able to catch that live, and I'm so appreciative to her to let me up there. It was great speaking with her. I love Toddy. Hey, Susan. Hey, Pamela, baby. Toddy is great. I like her. You know what I love about her is the fact that you can, not agree with everything she says. And, I feel like the same way, like it's okay. She didn't judge anybody for having a difference of opinion. And I absolutely love to have conversations with people like that. We have the same pretty much overall idea, but we differ a little bit. And she's just like, hey, that's okay. And I love that. So, yeah, her live was great.
Hello?
Who's here? Hello, Jackie.
What is my display picture?
Nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I had to redo my picture.
What happened to your picture? Do you have your camera setting thing off?
Yeah, but I had to redo a picture and it's some weird picture because it's a different, have you used a different link?
No.
I don't know.
You just look like a record. It was nice to see you on Morbids last night. I loved being on Morbids last night too. I'm so appreciative of him as well for letting me up there. Morbid, I'm not going to lie, makes me really nervous because I have an Android, guys. Yes, I'm an Android user. And so if I'm not by my computer, I don't dare try to go up by Morbid because, him and his volume and his sound, it like scares me, man. That's scary. So I was by my computer last night. So I'm glad I was able to go up on his and speak with Raina. What do y'all think about Raina being on his? Well, what do you think about Ken and Raina being on Morbids? That was wild.
That was pretty full on. I saw some of it.
Yeah, I feel like Ken came in just as Morbid was about to talk about Nick. And I feel like if that wasn't a planned distraction, I feel like it was, you know what I mean? I feel like that was kind of planned for him to just jump into Morbids as Morbid's about to talk about Nick. And then, Raina last night was total damage control for what Ken had going on. Ken made no sense, and I think that Raina's job.
Was Ken drunk?
He was he slurring, or is it just me? Like, I'm not being mean. Look, this cat has my mouse now, and he's chasing my mouse around the desk. Y'all can't see me, but he's here. Thinks I'm on the camera. But he said, was he slurring, or was it just me?
I don't know. Like, he was also really nasty. Like, I've seen him on Morbids before ages ago, and he wasn't that nasty.
It was almost like he was being belligerent, like he was not sober and just being nasty. But kudos to Nina.
That was funny.
Nina was getting under his skin so bad. I was high-fiving my screen, my computer monitor. I was like, Nina just stayed calm. And you know that little screechy giggle she does? I know that was nerve. Oh my gosh. I was like, it was kind of funny. I'm sorry, but it was. It was really funny. Ken was really nasty. Not only did Ken attack Nina, and why? Why? Like, what is his thing with Nina? I really do believe there might be some kind of attraction that Ken has with Nina a little bit. Like, I'm just saying. But he went hard after Nina, and I think it's because, because of Gypsy. I think he gets in trouble. And He
Didn't he
went
want to
hard.
go have a drink with her? Then that's the whole reason why Gypsy was like, at least I have a man thing. Isn't that why that started? Because Ken wanted to have a drink with. I don't know
Yeah,
how it started.
I do believe that. I do believe that was a thing. I think he did message Nino. Like, I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe that he did, right? Pam, I think so. I think he messaged Nina, and Nina called him out for it. He must have gotten embarrassed or whatever. And so that's probably why he went hard, and I'm sure he got in trouble from Gypsy. So, you know what I mean? But he went hard for Pink Pony too. Like, what the? I wanted up on that panel so bad that night. I was screaming at my screen. I'm like, give me 5 seconds, because he was being such a douchebag to Pink Pony. And I was like, first of all, if you were any kind of civilized human being, you would understand that these people weren't there to give a crap about your girlfriend. Let's be real. Like, yeah, there was an interest and a curiosity about the whole book signing, but it really had to do with Dee Dee. That is the woman that your girlfriend, your mistress, whatever the hell you want to call her, that's the woman that she killed. So have a little respect. Like, here you are thinking it's funny. Like, oh, I put my pants back on. Like, all of a sudden I'm a man now and I told him to get rid of you. Like, let's be real. The women did. You had nothing to do with that, kid. I'm just saying. There's that. But it really, you think it's funny that people can't hold a vigil for your daughter's grandmother? The one that her mother killed? That was just wild to me. It just showed I couldn't be more disgusted in him than I was when he said that.
I don't like Ken. He's a rat.
Yeah, and get 5 minutes, Ken. Give me 5 minutes, which you'll have a crying like a little bitch that you are. I'm just saying.
Pam's like Brie is more of a man than Kenyatta is.
That's what I'm saying. That's for real. For real. Like, he's right up there with Rod. Like, both of y'all, put your fucking pants back on and be men. Grow a fucking spine. What's wrong with you people? Like, what does Gypsy do to men? And all of a sudden they're stripped of their pants, their balls are right up in their throat. Like, come on, for real. Just wild.
Yeah. I mean, like, the way that he went after Pony makes me think that, I mean, it makes me think that Gypsy was behind that. Like, you make sure you tell that girl that, you know what I mean? Like, because Gypsy doesn't, like, Gypsy knows that she can't just go on a panel and go off her head. She knows she can't do that. So she gets other people to do it for her. Like, why was Ken only going Pony and Nina? Because she
Oh,
hates those two.
she
That's what I
does.
reckon.
Gypsy, now Ken is nothing but the puppet for Gypsy. Gypsy can't post about her baby because she said so, and she can't go back on it. So now Ken is doing the posting, and Ken is doing the hopping into lives to, yeah, Ken is just Gypsy's puppet, and it's so obvious.
But
Nina made
her people,
completely back up his body, Pam. Yes, she really did. You can hear him
her
screeching.
people can't see that though. They don't see Gypsy like that. But how can anybody not see what she's doing? I'm like, is everybody like? I don't understand how no one can see that. Like her people can't see what she's doing.
I don't know. It's wild to me. And then you got Raina up there. Now I will say this as far as Raina is concerned. I can't imagine, and I'm being completely genuine when I say this. As a mother of adult children, and my kids have gotten with men that I don't approve of, and they tend to they want to be adults and they make all these decisions that we just know as moms that aren't right for them. And what are you gonna do? So I can't imagine the position she feels like she's in, because we were all wanted her to say things, but she was never going to say them because she can't. She wants to have a relationship with that baby. We all know Gypsy is nothing but an evil son of a bitch. And if she even slightly deterred from the narrative, then that baby's going to be used as a pawn against her. So
Yeah.
I understand that we all wanted her to say what we wanted her to say, but she was never going to say it. She had to sit on that fence.
Did you
Like,
hear her say, "I'll get in trouble if I say what Ken does for a job"? Like, and then he's like, Morbid's like, "Oh, do you, does Ken Because she said something about a house, and I'm thinking, oh, you slipped up because we're not meant to know that Ken's in a house now.
Yeah, I did. That was wild to me. Why is that a secret? Why is whether or not Ken has a job or what he does for a living, why is that a secret? Like, of all the
Well,
things for you to
yeah.
hide, why not just be like, hey, I'm a bartender. Hey, like, I don't know, I'm a postman. Whatever it is you do, Ken, you stand on a whatever you do. Why is that one of the things that you feel the need to hide unless one, it's illegal and you shouldn't be doing it, or two, you really don't have a job? Because she
Yeah, but
couldn't.
I mean, the other way could be like if he said, I'm a real estate agent, then all anybody would have to do is look up all the real estate and then they'd find him, you know what I mean? And then annoy him at his job. Like,
Let's
that's
be
when
real.
you,
We all know how the internet works. We know what he has a history of doing. Someone can literally find out if he's got a job or not. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Not even that, but a lot of the creators have connections to that family. If he had a job, I feel like we'd know, like for real. You're not hiding certain information, and I feel like that's one of the things you're not going to hide.
yeah.
So I don't know, but you don't know if he bought a house. I don't know about y'all. My kids try to live their own personal lives or whatever, but I know enough and I have enough communication with my children that I know if my kids rented or bought a house.
Yeah,
Buying a
that's what
house
I
is a
thought was
big
really
deal.
strange.
Buying a house is a big deal. Usually people are really proud of it. You know what I mean? Like, you mean to tell me your son, you don't know if he bought the house or he rented? That just sounded like, you were there for a week. You don't know?
Yeah, I would have said, I can't say. I wouldn't have said, I don't know. That just sounded so stupid.
Yeah, and she absolutely does know. He bought that house on blood money, and she just didn't want to say that because right after she was talking about that, she was talking about, I don't get paid by Lifetime, so I don't want anybody to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on a payroll and I'm at blood money, and no, it's because your son just bought a house with blood money. Let's be real for real. And that's what you didn't want to say. And let me tell you something. You mean to tell me you bought a house, you got that kind of credit, and you make that kind of income as a bartender, that you bought a house on just a bartender salary? Anybody in here own homes? I own a home, and I can assure you that you don't sit there as a bartender and buy a house. And some mortgage company in today's economy is like, oh, yeah, you're a bartender? Here's a fucking 30-year mortgage. Here you go. Bullshit. Bullshit. It was blood money, and you damn well know it. Damn well know it. And that's what she didn't want to say because she couldn't say it. You know, it's just yeah, he rents. Like, he's not renting. Let's be real. If he was renting, she would have known that he was renting. She just didn't want to say. And you not wanting to say means you don't want us to know the truth. We all know what that is. Yeah, you have to prove financial stability. And Gypsy's money doesn't really get put into that because they're not married. So I don't know. It was weird to me. Oh no, honey,
And
I'm
then
just
when he
talking.
was asked if he was going to marry her or not, that was weird.
No, I'm okay, baby. Go ahead. My daughter heard me screaming and clapping, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "It's just Miss Jackie." You hear the kids saying hi. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I thought you were talking to your daughter, so I stayed quiet.
Oh no, she was. They were saying hi to you. She came in. She didn't know what was.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry.
I don't think Lifetime bought him a house, and I don't think he makes enough money. I don't think any of them do. I think it's about the fame. I believe that he may own that home, but it's blood. Yeah, it's not because he's a bartender and he makes enough money. They purchased the house in Metairie. Yeah, that's what I believe too.
Where's Metairie? Where's that?
I know it's right outside of Louisiana. Am I right in saying that, guys? Oh, Lisa, my youngest is 8.
Because I thought that Ken lived in New Orleans or something. Is that
So
outside?
Metairie is right outside of that. Like, New Orleans is the city. and then you have like the outskirts, like the suburbs of the city, and I think that's one of the suburbs of the city. Like right outside the major city is where Metairie is.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's kind of wild that um, that's where she's staying. Like you didn't go home to Christy. That was a little weird to me. If it makes me think, it makes me wonder if her and Christy aren't on the outs because you came home from the hospital and you went home to Metairie with Ken and his mother. And you heard Raina last night saying that I only met Ken once and she's never met Rod. Like they had a whole baby, they had gender reveals, and they had baby showers, and all of these visits and all of this stuff. And you mean to tell me you've never met the father, you never met Rod, and you only met Christy once?
I mean, he could have been on the boat, but still, you'd think that he would have met her.
Yeah, that's just
And what
wild.
was with him going on about her husband's new wife to the point where Morbid said, "Oh, the supermodel," like because he picked up on it because she said it too many times.
She made a big deal about how beautiful her ex-husband's new wife is, which was, I mean, listen, I'm friends with my ex-husband. My husband is friends with my ex-husband. I get the whole we coexist, we're still friends kind of thing, but that was a little bit like, I mean, she was pretty and she just, I mean, she must really think she's pretty. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's praise and then there's like weird.
Yeah, that was just a little bit awkward. And what about, guys, what about Raina talking about Rod? She's like, well, he was duh. I was like, oh, you're in trouble for that. She pretty much called Rod dumb in so many words.
Yeah, well, I kind of agree.
I mean, I think, listen, I don't, I agree to the point where he doesn't have enough say when it comes to Christy. Like, I definitely believe Christy rules the roost. You know what I mean? But I don't believe that Rod is as dumb as he's trying to get people to believe he is. I think he's just to sit back and let the women take care of it, but he's not dumb. He's really not. So
The whole Rod just playing Mr. Innocent, I've never thought he was innocent. You know what I mean? Like, they're the trouble, not me. I just go on the fishing boat. I know nothing.
yeah. Well, not even that, but how do you know he's so dumb if you never met the man?
Yeah.
It kind of made me think like you just trying to say to us what you think we want to hear, or do you really just who knows? You just don't know.
One thing I'm really sick of is she's done her time. That she's done her time. Let's just what? I agreed with Morbid when Morbid's like, "What do you mean? Like she murdered her mum? Like we're not just gonna let it go. Sorry."
Yeah, Pam's right. Raina was the only one in the family who spoke about that baby like it was a real baby. Like, how pink she was and how soft she was and how cute she was and her
What did
nickname.
that mean when she said she's so pink? I was like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about how pink I don't know. But she's right though. She was the only one who spoke about that baby the way you expect people to speak about a brand new baby. Like Gypsy and Ken, like they don't talk about, oh, it's my little baby, and they act like it's like whatever. It's just another subject in their narrative. You know what I mean? In their story.
Well, I think that they're gonna show a baby soon because they're gonna need people to stop saying it's a reborn doll and Ken's profile there'll be a baby on it
Yeah.
because she's the type of person that has to prove us wrong. You know what I mean? She won't be able to handle it for much longer.
No, she won't. She won't. I don't know. That whole thing is just wild to me. And then she's coming in and she's trying to correct Ken's Ken from the night before talking about why there was an induction date. But I don't know about anybody else, and I know that Becky Scoops just dropped the video, guys, but I haven't seen it yet. So I don't know what she covered. Maybe she's bringing up an idea that I didn't think of, which is possible. So I haven't got, I'll watch it after I get off here. But her explanation, trying to cover up for Ken about there being an induction date, didn't make any sense to me. It actually sounded worse. Like, oh, it's because she was walking around already dilated, and so just in case they had to have an induction date. Well, she's already dilated, then she's already in the first stage of labor. So why would you think you would need to induce her if she's already starting to labor? And then she's sitting there like, well, she walked around for like a week at 2 centimeters. I was 4 centimeters for 6 weeks. 6 weeks, I was 4 centimeters. Nobody gave, you know what I mean? They weren't sitting there like, well, we're induce you on this day. Like, at that point, they were like, well, if you're already 4 centimeters, that baby's going to come. So, you know what I mean? It didn't make any sense. Now, I do understand the whole Pitocin because an epidural can make a labor stall out. That I do know to be a thing. But if she was already dilating, then why would anybody think that she would need an induction? And the only thing that I can make that makes sense in my head is that she wasn't premature, having given birth on the 28th. She was not premature. And if you go by the induction date of the 16th, that means that doctors were saying, if you don't deliver by the 16th, which is 2 weeks over your 40 weeks, they don't like to see you go over 42 weeks. Then at that point, we will induce. And that makes sense to me, which means that baby wasn't premature. That baby was born right on time. That's the only thing that makes sense in my head as both a mom and a nurse. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you wouldn't plan an induction if somebody's already laboring. Like, you could be in a first stage of labor for a very long time.
None of that birth story and her whole pregnancy didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and then again, what's up with nobody knowing how much that baby weighed? It's funny to me that the information that they try to hide, unless there's a story behind it, doesn't make very much sense. We're going to tell you everything, but we're not going to tell you what Ken does for a living. Like, that makes no sense to me to hide that information.
Yeah. I'm still on team she did not have a baby in her stomach.
Well, believe it or not, there's a lot, and I don't blame people for believing that. There's a lot of people that don't believe that. You know, the baby's 5 pounds or 6 pounds, and they won't tell you what the weight is. Why would the weight of a baby be such a big deal to hide? It makes no sense to me. Because the weight is the only thing that really can be, you know what I mean? You can have a normal, on point delivery with a 5-pounder. I have. My babies, they were born at 40 weeks, and I had 5-pounders. And so, and then I had preemies that were born about 5 pounds. So why is the weight such a big deal? It makes no sense why those are the stupid things is what they're hiding, unless those stupid things are covering up a whole big situation otherwise. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then the whole, because, the baby's supposedly 4 weeks and the baby is going to the doctor weekly. Why is that baby going to the doctor weekly?
That makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't. I'm the only thing, and again, the only thing I can think of.
Oh, that it's sick.
Is that the baby, if it was small, and she said it was small, she didn't give a weight, but she said it was tiny. Is if the baby's small, we're going to say 5 pounds. I don't know how much that baby weighed, but we'll say 5 pounds. When the baby goes home, babies always tend to lose a little bit of weight, which could have put it at the lower end of 5 pounds, maybe the upper end of 4 pounds. When babies are that small, they want to make sure that the babies are gaining weight. And you know what I mean? Like, so you got to think that it might just be because that baby was small. She was struggling to breastfeed, and they needed to monitor the baby's weight for the first month to make sure that the weight that it lost when it went home it came back, and there was no failure to thrive. And that's the
Oh, so
only
that's why they're not telling anyone the weight. Is that what you're saying?
yes, to make sure that that baby gained back the weight it lost when it originally went home, and that it was gaining weight steadily in the month. You know what I mean? And that's the only reason that I can think that that baby would be going to the doctor every week, unless even jaundice should be taken care of within the first week or two. So every week for a month means a weight check for me, if aside from illness. The only thing that I can see is that they needed to make sure, and if she was struggling to breastfeed, you know what I mean? That's what I believe. So I don't know. But again, why hide that? Why not just be like the baby was born small, she was struggling to breastfeed, and so the baby had to go back for weight checks? That, again, a little bit of honesty makes more sense. That can
I
happen to an
felt like she was lying when she said her milk didn't come in. The way she said it, I was like, you sound like you're lying.
Well, I'm going to be
But
completely honest with you, and I don't like to. I would love to sit there and say that that didn't make sense,
it
but
just she sounded like she was lying because I don't believe a word she ever says.
I breastfed 8 children. Now, with my last one, my milk did not fully come in. It didn't. And I remember feeling the guilt of I breastfed all my other babies. And I remember that feeling of like, you know what I mean? But my milk didn't come in, which is crazy because I breastfed 8 kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, I didn't understand why it wasn't fully coming in. So that is absolutely possible that that
Oh
happened.
yeah, it's possible, but it's the way she said it made me. I was like, yeah, you know what I
And
mean?
and it would make sense that that baby would be in weight checked if she tried to breastfeed. You know what I mean? And then was struggling because the milk wasn't coming in, and then you had to, give formula and supplement the
I
feedings.
think
And
her words on the live were like, "Oh, well, I had the colostrum come in, and that was the most important part. And now she's on formula, and I'm like, but then it's like, how? Like, I am so skeptical on everything that comes out of her mouth, though. Like,
right,
it's like,
right. Um, and again, how that baby is fed does it? I couldn't give a shit, quite frankly. I
yeah,
mean,
no, that's
as
exactly
long as
right.
it's being fed, I quite frankly don't care if it's breast, bottle, if the kid's scooping oatmeal. I quite frankly, it is what it
I
is.
mean, I couldn't breastfeed, so I understand that people can't because I know that I couldn't. But I remember the 8.85 weight, you know what I mean? Like, I just remember everything, like, and my son's 15, nearly 16. Like, you just remember those things. You remember where they're born, what time, their weight, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I did for my first couple.
Yeah, but I've only
My
got
girl
one.
came to me the other day and said, "Mama, do you remember what time I was born?" And I'm like, "God damn it, you're number
That's a
10,
bit
man.
different.
No, I don't. What's your birthday
You've
again? Who
got,
are you?"
yeah,
Um,
you've got 8 of them. I've only got one. You know what I mean?
so I'm just like, I don't remember.
You know
Maybe
my
that's
friend Jay that you've met? She's like, "What's your birthday again?" She's
I
got so.
I know. Listen, my kids' names are Hey You now, and everyone turns around or you're punished because I don't know who you are. Lisa, I don't have any twins. I have two adopted daughters, um, and I have altogether, I have 9 daughters, one son, two adopted girls, no twins. Um, so yeah, no, I don't have any twins. Thank goodness though, because one at a time was enough for me.
And I've only got one, and that's why I can remember everything because I've only got one.
Yeah. You know what? I remember my first one's time. I got a couple whose hospital pictures have the time and weight. So, you know what I mean? My daughter Addison got mad because Morgan knew what time she was born because it was on her picture, but it wasn't on Addison's. And I'm like, listen, y'all, these are all alive. You're welcome. You know, hey,
We're talking about the broccoli story. What's the broccoli story?
so she was saying, I listen. Now I breastfed, and so I do know that I knew of certain foods that I ate, and the baby would get gassy, but that was usually a lot later in the breastfeeding process. And it's not just broccoli. Okay, I never had a problem eating broccoli. I ate a lot of broccoli breastfeeding and never had a problem. One, I couldn't drink coffee because the coffee did something to my daughter's stomach. One, I couldn't eat beans or anything like that because it would make my one gassy and just what I mean. I never personally had a problem with broccoli, and that usually doesn't happen until you've breastfed for quite some time and you're getting on a schedule. So the whole I made her broccoli and then she got upset because she's not breastfeeding, but it gave the baby gas. Well, was she breastfeeding or not? Because if the milk didn't come in, then she wouldn't have gotten gassy from the broccoli because there would have been no milk. Am I making sense here?
So hold on. So she had broccoli and it made her baby gassy. Is that what she said?
So Raina is saying that Raina cooked broccoli for dinner. Gypsy ate it, and then Gypsy, she felt bad because the baby got gassy from the broccoli. Although I thought the milk didn't come in, and if your milk didn't come in, then that broccoli didn't transfer to the baby because with you couldn't breastfeed, there was no milk, never came in. So I mean, did you drip the broccoli drippings into the formula? Because what happened there? But that made that's it just makes no sense to me. That was a I don't know. Like
And
did
this
you
is why
breastfeed
people
milk?
don't
Why
believe Gypsy.
Yeah, like
Do you know what I mean? This is why, because this kind of shit, like, did your milk come in or not, cunt? Like, what are you doing? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it didn't make any sense. Like what if she breastfed and she let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you this right now, and anybody in this chat who has breastfed a baby, you guys can back me up on this. The hardest thing to do as a new mother is breastfeed. I my first one was I probably still have PTSD because I didn't know enough about breastfeeding that I was literally waking up 2 hours for like it was horrible. I was like so paranoid about it. I was overdoing it. And I finally learned later on that it was, the baby's going to eat when it eats and stuff like that. But, you know, if you're going to breastfeed, breastfeed. If you're not, maybe I feel like Gypsy it's hard. It's not easy to breastfeed. My
I
daughters
think
try
that,
to breastfeed and they just
yeah,
too much for them. It's time consuming. They were workers, like they had. So if you just didn't want to breastfeed and you decided to bottle feed, then just say, breastfeeding wasn't for her. She bottle fed. As long as the kid's fed, who the hell cares?
I think that women need a lot more congratulations for what they do, because, like, I only breastfed for the really tiny amount of time, and it was so, and I didn't realize. They're like, "Oh, by the way, every time the baby sucks, it gives you a contraction." Like, thanks. Like, what?
Oh,
Like,
and after they're born.
I didn't know that. I was like, women go back and do this a second time. Like, what's happening? Like, it's meant to. This breastfeeding thing is meant to be beautiful and all this shit. And I'm like, ow! Like
No, it's
every
not.
time. Oh my god. Yeah, well, that's
People
what
want
I thought before I
is
had a baby.
smelling like sour milk for a year, man. It sucked. Pumping in a
Yeah, no.
car into the grocery store because I was dripping all over my clothes. Like, come on, it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's just
Yeah, well, yeah.
listen. Everyone's like,
I
"Oh, it's
didn't
temporary."
know that when you first do it, like, it like gives you contractions. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it tightens your muscles. Well, if you stimulate your nipples before you give birth, it can give you contractions and put you into labor.
Stimulate.
Yeah, if you play with your nipples before you give birth, it can stimulate contractions and cause you to go into labor. I'm not lying because I
Oh
mean
my god.
when I was with my first one when I was a little late, she's like go home and nipple stimulation. She's like have sex with your husband, like do whatever, like because that can cause the contractions to start coming. I was a couple of days
I wish
overdue.
I had known that. My kid was 2 weeks overdue.
Oh yeah, play with your nipples, have sex. They tell you to have as much sex as you want. My husband's like, oh yeah, and I'm like, get away from me. I feel like a cow.
Get away from me.
He's like, the doctor said we can have sex to bring the baby, and I'm like, don't even look at me. I can't move. I want the maintenance man to come in and rip this thing out of me. Like, come on.
Don't even look at me.
This is how I got here in the first place.
Well, our doctor said that to us, to me and my son's dad, and I'm like, don't even think about it. Get away from me. Like, yuck. No. You did this to me.
I
Get
think.
away from me.
Hold on, I'm trying to read the chat. I hate the chat being over here on the side because, like, on
I
TikTok,
know.
here and I can see it right in front of me, and this I have to go. Yeah, right. This is all your fault. Christine said I didn't breastfeed. I had absolutely no interest in it. You know what? I respect you a lot for saying that because people feel like you gotta breastfeed and it's what you should do. And hey, listen, good for you. Like if you don't want to breastfeed, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like there's
My
absolutely
kid was too hungry for breastfeeding, and my cesarean scar was infected for like a year after my son was born. So there was no way that I could breastfeed. I did for a little bit, and then they're like, "No, you're making like no, you can't." And I had to put him on Kerry Care thickened because he was so hungry that the only way he would sleep was with the double. It was like a thickness, like a thick formula.
yeah, yep.
He wouldn't have slept on breast milk. There's no way.
You know what I was thinking too about why she wasn't breastfeeding? Because she had to have been breastfeeding. Sorry, Sabrina, I didn't see here. She had to have been breastfeeding at some point if the broccoli transferred and the kid got gassy, right? My whole thing is, and I know you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I swear I have 10 kids. It really does happen. It's a thing. I wonder if Ken didn't get jealous of the breastfeeding. And that absolutely is a thing. And that's not to be disgusting or to make it a sexual thing, but men really do get jealous of breastfeeding. And I wonder if there wasn't a jealousy thing and that's why she didn't breastfeed.
I
Well,
mean,
that's
she
also
did. Whoa, who's that? Hi.
That's Sabrina.
hi.
Oh, hi, Sabrina. You scared the shit out of me. How are ya? Fuck.
Hi. I was
Oh
gonna
my
say, no,
god.
you are right. Ivory, as far as like the jealousy thing, and it's not so much of a jealousy thing. It's usually like the lack of bonding because the baby usually needs.
Which is a jealousy thing.
I mean, yeah, but it's more. I think it's more of like a wanting to be able to do that much for the baby as much as the mom has to. You know what
Would
I
you
mean?
like a guy's
My
perspective on it?
husband said those
Yeah.
are mine. I'm a little jealous. My husband was
I'll
actually
tell you
jealous.
right now. When my first wife was breastfeeding our child, I was a little jealous for two reasons. One, that I could not create a physical close bond with my daughter like that. And two, that my daughter was getting all the attention. I wasn't getting any attention.
You see, now that's what I feel like Gypsy goes through because, like, the jealousy is a real thing. And remember when Raina was talking about she told Gypsy to go to bed and I got the baby. And I feel like, is it an attention thing for her? Because if my mother in law came to my house when I gave birth and said, you go to bed and I'll take care of this baby, my ass would have been in bed. 100%. First baby, fifth baby, eighth baby, I would have been asleep because I remember being absolutely exhausted. And I wonder if it's not just a jealousy thing. Like, I just want you to pay attention to me. Go make me some tea. You know what I mean? Like,
Right?
If anyone jealous, I reckon it would have been Gypsy.
that's what I'm
Probably.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe Gypsy just wanted to share the bottle. Like she's just like, hey, well now we can both suck. You get a suck, I get a suck. We can all suck.
But I did mention it in the comments. I don't know if you saw it, but when you first started the live, when you were talking about Ken going after Nina, I honestly think it's one of two things. One, it's a male ego thing because Nina, uh, um, like fuck you, dude, kind of thing, from that whole history, and so that bruised his male ego, so that's why he goes after Nina the hardest. Or the other theory is he is also prejudiced slash racist
Or sexist.
or sexist.
I mean, all of it is a possibility. All of it is a possibility. I just don't understand. Um, I just don't get why I don't know. I don't know. I feel like why he picked Pink, he went really hard for Pink and really hard for Nina. Not saying he didn't go hard for anybody else, With those two, he went, when I tell you hard, he went super hard for them. So I don't know.
I reckon it's because Gypsy hates him.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I mean, I really do. I think that's definitely possible. I mean, Nina goes really hard for them. I feel like I don't know what Nina knows, but I feel like Nina got to know something about Ken because Ken was going at her like, what? You know. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I still think that Gypsy was like, yell at them, like, or something. I don't know, because he just seems so nasty.
Yeah, he was, especially towards Pink. Like, and the fact that you were talking about Pink being like it was for Dee Dee. It was, you know what I mean? It was she was there to get the vigil down and all of that. Like that just seemed really you couldn't be more insensitive.
She was being respectful there, though. She went and bought a ticket. She sat down like a normal human. She wasn't yelling in people's faces.
She
What does
wasn't
he even
there
mean?
for any disruption. She really had no intent on any disruption, on any, you know, she wasn't there to harm anybody or to do any of it. Like, so I don't understand why the insensitivity when it was all about Dee Dee. That's the woman that your baby mama killed. You know?
Because these people don't care about Dee Dee. They couldn't give a shit. Like, they just see Dee Dee as, oh, it happened 10 years ago. It happened, you know, she's done her time. Like, just shut up. That's how they see it. No. Do you know what I mean?
I'm glad you brought that up, okay? Because there was one thing that Raina said yesterday in that live that really caught me a little bit, though. When she said, you know, if the Petrie family can just forgive. And that bothered me a little bit because people take the word forgiveness like it doesn't have a serious meaning. To forgive somebody is extremely hard. To forgive them for anything. But to forgive somebody for taking the life of a family member, that's virtually impossible to do. It is not easy to do. You can't just say, just forgive them and then we can all kind of, you know, it don't work like that. They took the life of their sister. Gypsy took the life. If somebody killed my sister, I would need tons of therapy and prayer to even get to the point where I would want to forget about actual forgiveness. Like, think about
You're a better person than me because I wouldn't be forgiving anyone if anyone killed my brother.
it, right? Hey, Misbehaving.
Hey. So, one thing that I've noticed too is their narrative with all that is forgive her. You know, we all make mistakes. Like, that's a big mistake.
It wasn't a mistake. That's what I mean. How's that a mistake?
Yeah. Listen. Forgetting to pay for the water on the bottom of your shopping cart is a mistake. Okay. Letting your dog shit on somebody's lawn, that's a mistake. Not paying your credit card bill, that's a mistake. Murdering somebody in such a heinous way, murdering anybody, is not a mistake. That was a choice.
Not only that, but planning it for 2 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you mistake something that you planned for years? Exactly right.
And, you know, maybe forgiveness if it was an actual self-defense killing, like, you know, they were, you know, head to head and something happened. But when you plan something like that for 2 years, like you're throwing around the word forgiveness, like it was not a big deal. Like, you know, it was a mistake, just forgive it. Like, you know, that was just so insensitive to me. I was like, think about what you're saying.
Well, and I would like to add, I agree on what you were saying. She's expecting forgiveness from from the family of Dee Dee, but she doesn't realize, like, I don't think she really realized like how much damage she's done to Dee Dee. Not only planning the unaliving, going through with it, but
Even prior.
But even possibilities of what happened prior, that she's possibly done to Dee Dee, and what she still continues to do, and that's bash Dee Dee's name
Yeah.
and her character.
Well,
There's
it's not
more
just
than
Dee
just
Dee.
the.
I'm sorry. I was going to
What-
say it's not just Dee Dee because it's Claude and
Yeah.
just everyone that crosses her path that doesn't do the way she wants it done. It's
She didn't even get to
becomes a
rest.
victim.
Like she got murdered, and then till this day, they're talking about Munchausen by proxy and how much of a horrible person that she is on that other side. Do you know what I mean? Like she didn't even get to just die.
Yeah. Their name. Think about, my heart goes out to Claude. Not that it doesn't go out to everybody that was affected by the whole thing, but think about Claude for 1 second. Okay. The man he lived an entire life. He raised children, he had grandchildren, he worked, he whatever he did in his life, he did it. Okay. He lived a whole life. Now here he is at 80 something years old, about to leave this life. We all make it, God willing, to 80 years old. We know that our time is limited, right? He's about to leave this earth, and it's like, I can't imagine knowing that I'm going to die soon and somebody ruined my name so bad, and I'm going to leave this earth now being known as an incestual rapist to my granddaughter. Like, for fuck's sake, man. That's horrible. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. And that's I just feel so bad for him. I really do.
Me too, because it was just Gypsy's way of like manipulating us all to think that she was the victim in everything.
Yeah.
To the point where she makes things up.
Yeah. And think about it. That man did not go through 80 years of his life being a child rapist and only picking one child. You know what I mean? Like, if he was a child rapist, it would come out somewhere. I'm just saying.
Well, even talking to, I think it was Nellie Belly, she was saying, like, no way. Like, everyone knew who the dangerous men in that neighborhood were, and Claude was most definitely not one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's, oh my goodness. And then you could, I believe when Claude said, like, she would make advances to him, I really believe that. I really believe that. And you're right. Who just said that? Indigo? If the grandfather really did that, why wasn't Rod going after him? Yet he jokingly threatened Ryan with a gun on the Lifetime show. Yeah. Like, if I really believed that my daughter was raped by somebody, that would the deal that would be made about that. And yet nobody's speaking on it. Like, Rod, you never mentioned any of that. It's just, I don't know. The whole thing just, it gets to me.
I think that when he said she used to, because on the Mummy Dearest, when he said what you were saying, Ivory, like that was Gypsy's opportunity to be like, people are going to believe it now. I'm going to start talking about it. Like he said that.
Yeah.
Because nothing was ever, no one ever mentioned that she was touched up by Granddad or nothing. And you know what I mean? Then she gets out of prison and suddenly it's all gone down. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's like she watched that and she thought, hey, I can convince people because of what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that too, because I don't think that story came to light until she was in prison. And in my opinion, I think one of her, what she calls roommates, was probably essayed as a child. And she just took that on because it fit her poor me.
Yeah, she had 8 years to perfect stories behind bars.
Yeah, and take on other girls' tragedies as her own.
Yeah. And the people that knew her said that when she would talk to them, like she would like listen a little bit, but she wouldn't say much. But then she'd talk about her own shit. It was like that they felt like she didn't care about what they were saying. She was just trying to remember it for another day. It was weird.
And then look at the book. I feel like, these stories that she originally told, they just got more and more exaggerated as time went on because she can make more and more money off these stories. You know what I mean? Like with Claude, with Dee Dee, with all of them. It's just the exaggeration. And that book. Did anybody hear Ken when Starlight asked him about the book? How embarrassed he seemed of it?
Yeah.
Why didn't he want to mention the book?
Because he was embarrassed. Wouldn't you be embarrassed? I'd be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like,
One thing I noticed about the book too is prior to it coming out, a lot of you content creators have, been learning things and finding things. And I felt a lot of the book too was trying to debunk the truths that we all found out,
I did
if
notice
that makes sense.
Yeah, because Gypsy's a narcissist and she loves to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah, but I know what Misbehaven's talking about. There are a lot of things that we brought to light that I can see her trying to debunk or answer that we questioned in the book, even though the story was insane. I know what you're talking about. There was quite a few things that she was just trying to explain because we did question it. And so
Well,
I
even
know
the BB gun, because
Yeah.
you guys were all saying like, okay, well, the BB gun incident, that's proof right there that she attempted to hurt Dee Dee prior. And now she's saying, oh, well, I knew it was a BB gun. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Does she not
attempted it
remember that we
before.
would watch all the old interviews and then we put them together and then post it?
Yeah. I don't understand how mainstream media, how nobody's questioning any of this nonsense. Like nobody questioned any of it and said, you know what, let me take a look into this. Something just doesn't add up. Like that whole book. Like news channels were like giving interviews about it and talking about it. Nobody questioned any of the insanity. Like taking baths with the grandfather. Like nobody questioned that and said, you know what, let me look into this. This doesn't sound right. And from one book to the next, the story changed. It got even worse than this. It's just the exaggerations and the embellishments of these stories are ridiculous.
I didn't read the first one. I'm only halfway through this one.
Oh, well, good luck.
I started it and then I put it down a couple weeks ago. Well, I shouldn't say put it down. I'm listening to it, but
the first one was really just phone conversations between her and Melissa Moore, but it did have some of these stories, like the initial stories. And then the second book, she like over embellished the stories and described them in detail. And it was, yeah.
Well, the funny thing too is prior to the book coming out, she was doing those interviews saying, this is my life in pages. I worked really hard on it. I'm so proud. And then once all the reviews from us started coming out, now she's saying, oh, well, it was my ghostwriters. Like I didn't, it's not how it was supposed to be, or I don't know what she said.
Oh, geez.
Something ridiculous. Yeah, she's blaming it on the ghostwriter now.
Of course she is. And here she is. She wrote this book. She was so proud of it. She put you, so you can see, she did a video the day the book came out about how proud she was of this book. And now I think she's, a little concerned because everybody that she knows has got to be embarrassed of the book. You mean to tell me Rod's not embarrassed? You mean to tell me Ken is not embarrassed? Like, what does Ken feel like he has in common with Gypsy that they can have this relationship and this love for each other? Like, what do you have in common? Me and my husband, we have an awful lot in common. What do you have in common? Supposedly, according to Gypsy and Ken, she's had no life experience. She was uneducated. Let me tell you something. You didn't get any kind of education in prison. Not, you know what I mean? So what, you drank a bottle, you shit in a diaper until you were 20 something years old. Like, what attracts you to her? Her intelligence? There is none. Her looks, I mean, for real. Like, what is he attracted to? Like, what does she have that, you know? I would love for
I
him
think
to.
yeah, I have no idea, but I think initially too, because of her being in prison, they probably built up a lot of sexual tension through their phone calls and letters. And I think once she was out, they wanted to experience what had built up. I don't know.
So really,
And
it's
then
just
he just what?
it's just her freak.
Yeah. And then she got pregnant, and he's like, oh shit, I'm stuck.
That's crazy. I don't understand it. I really don't. I mean, the fact that he likes her that way, but has no base to base it on, says a lot. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And again, she's not some kind of multimillionaire. So is it really the money? I mean, you can go and have just as much money as Gypsy Rose having a good career. It's not like she's not making multi-millions of dollars. You know what I mean? She's a very low millionaire, which is what a lot of people in really good careers are. So it's not like she's got tons of money and she's swimming like McDuck in piles of gold. Like it's not what money.
And no personality and that voice. I'm going to listen to that 24/7.
Exactly.
Also, hey guys,
Hey, Code.
Hey.
I do want to give my thoughts on it. So, like, because when you look at it, it's like I said, it doesn't make any sense why Ken would have a reason to like her because he doesn't have anything to base it on. Because it's like when you break down what you would like in a person, what does Gypsy have that ultimately makes her someone that someone would look at and go, this person has really attractive features. She's not particularly intelligent. She very much has the mind of a teenager with how she acts online and responds to things in general. He literally has, like on Morbid's panel, he literally had no issue with the fact that she sucked a bottle or shit in a diaper for 24 years. And I think he even admitted like how he met her in the first place was through her story. Like he found that inspiring, and that's what inspired him to form a connection and everything. Like I think that he's got screws loose as well. And obviously the way he acted the other night on Morbid's panel showed a lot about even further about his character. I mean, I already didn't really think of his character positively because he stole another man's wife. You know, regardless of how you feel about Ryan, that doesn't make it right regardless.
Right.
But just the fact that it's obvious he's an enabler. He very much has the same kind of attitude as her, where it's like he projects everything like, oh, content creators are bullies and harassers, but somehow seems to be so ignorant of, like, you can say, well, Gypsy's does this or that. And he goes, well, I don't know. I don't pay attention to what she does online. So you don't pay attention to anything she does, but you somehow simultaneously know every bit of drama and every bit of rumors that get gossiped about, even though they're all related to Gypsy herself. Like, come on, dude.
You have to realize that she's probably on his ass all the time. Like if he made a comment to Nina, I'm sure it turned into World War III with them. And that's what I felt he was doing on Morbid.
I do. I mean, I can see that. I'm not against that. It's just the fact that it doesn't really make it better because he chose to be in this situation regardless of what part she played. And yes, we all know she's controlling. We all know that she's trapped him and everything like that. But he's also willingly going along with it and is, pretty much going by how he acts. Like he clearly doesn't object to it. Like he literally decided to have a baby with a murderer, and I think that really just sums up the entire thing for me.
I disagree. I think that he didn't decide to have a baby. I think for him, he just wanted to get his dick wet, and it was going to be like a wham bam, thank you, man. Let's have some fun. And next thing you know, she's pregnant, and he's like, oh shit.
I mean, I guess, but I don't know. That all happened too convenient for me. I'm like I said, like I respect your perspective. I'm not arguing anything against it. I just don't. I just think with the timeline of events, I just don't agree.
So you think he planned to have a baby with her?
Well, okay, so this was right around the time too where both of them set up on that live with Natasha Cooper, and they denied that they were together and they were just friends. But then, like, not I think, but then like the next moment, all of a sudden they're dating and all this other stuff. It was pretty obvious they had something going on. And I know that Ivory said it many times. I don't believe they ever stopped communicating or talking to each other, and so that's just how I feel on that front. And I guess when they got to, when they did it, like in a literal sense, that was also the same time she said she was on birth control and stuff too, and whatnot.
Well, that's why I think she trapped him, and he probably thought she was on birth control. He didn't realize she's a compulsive liar.
No, that's why I was going to say. I was going to say to that level, yeah, she probably planned that. Like she wanted to lead a false sense of security, and then do it.
Which
So
is no excuse because he's a grown ass man and he should know better. He should know to wrap it up. But
yeah, that was
he planned this pregnancy with her.
Yeah.
So
that's just how I feel, though.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think the way he was attacking Nina and Pink Pony and all that, I think personally that he personally doesn't have a problem with them, but because Gypsy does, he has to, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, I can see that. I also think it was also when I went back and I watched the replay, it was also very obvious that quite a few things he said were scripted because he seemed to leave during the middle of and granted, I guess someone could chalk it up as internet issues and stuff because we all have. I just find it way too convenient that
he did take a break.
I was saying that in chat. I was like, he's not losing connection. He's putting himself on mute to get schooled on the side.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. Like when I went back and watched it, I was like, yeah, he's definitely getting fed information and then relaying it back to the panel.
I'm going to tell you, there's no doubt that he jumped up. They had him jump on there on purpose. Gypsy.
I think so.
I agree.
Do you remember the In Morbid chat? I went over to, after Dreamer left, I went over to Dreamer's live because I was going to tell her off about the whole 10 baby daddy thing. I get over there and I don't know, the woman's crazy. I felt bad. I couldn't even go at her because she's a little nuts, but she threw me in a box, right? And so I'm in this live and I'm in her box, but I had Morbid playing on my computer, and they knew that Ken was going to be in Sir Morbid's chat before he ever entered. I mean, on his panel before he even entered the chat. How did Dreamer and them know that Ken was going to be on Morbid's panel before anybody else knew.
Yeah, like I said, when I went back and watched it, I think it was very obvious a lot of Ken's speaking points were very scripted, and he was obviously being fed information. I also think that Gypsy was right next to him the entire time.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
for
don't
sure.
believe he was
Yeah.
driving.
Like I think I 100% believe that she was right next to him, and those times that he left, quote unquote, where he quote unquote lost connection. I think he was actually it was actually Gypsy feeding him information to give to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Yeah,
He's muting and she's telling him what to say. I mean, I could
Yeah.
understand a bad connection if you cut out once, maybe twice, but I mean, it was pretty consistent. So that was
yeah, it was pretty.
suspicious.
Yeah, yeah. What did you think about his refusal to not want to talk about the book?
He was embarrassed. What could he
Would you
say?
want
Yeah.
to?
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't either. Yeah, I mean, I think it just says a lot. Obviously, it says a lot.
Yeah, it shows that anything we could have, any question we could have come at him with, it would have been an embarrassment to him. He couldn't answer. He would have been embarrassed, and he knew it, and so he shied away from it,
Yeah,
which says a lot. When the guy you're with, you're also proud. You're so proud of this book that it's disgusting. The guy you're with can't even speak about it. That says so much right there.
hmm
Same thing with Raina. Oh, I can't because I get embarrassed by the sexual. You know what I mean? You can't read the book because it's too sexual. That says an awful lot.
yeah,
That means
She said, "I'll wait and read it with what's her name? Ariel, not Ariel.
Aurora.
Aurora. Thank
no,
you.
she did not.
Yes.
She said
Yes,
she's gonna
she said that. Yes, she said that.
read a sensual book with her granddaughter. What's wrong? Are they all freaks?
Well, that's why
I
everyone in
think-
chat was like, "No, no, no, no! You need to read it first. This is not
Yeah,
appropriate for
me, I
Aurora."
think she needs to read it. Regardless of how she feels about it, I think she should read it for Aurora's sake, because for the safety of that child, I think that reading it and then trying to keep it gives her an insight onto who's raising her granddaughter, for one, and for two, it also is just in her granddaughter's best interest that she reads the book and the granddaughter doesn't read the book in any capacity. That's just how I feel.
Yep. Yeah. Who just said? What is she gonna do? Read it as a bedtime story? Yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
I don't think her child or any child should read that book. Anybody under 18 shouldn't read that book. Just saying.
I read it
Yeah,
on my live, and I was getting embarrassed by it. And we're all adults in my live, and I was getting embarrassed listening to it.
I would not let a minor anywhere near that book.
No, there should definitely be an age warning on that book. You know what caught me? When Raina was like, I did my homework. I watched Becca Scoops. You know what I mean? I watched the interrogation, and she looked at the text messages between the two of them. Why hasn't Ken? Wouldn't you want to know who you're sleeping next to at night? You mean to tell me none of them were curious enough to sit there and be like, let me see who she really is. Let me see what all these people are talking about. They're not all making it all up. All these intelligent creators are just making this nonsense up. You wouldn't do some investigating yourself?
He's in denial.
And then if
And
he
he's
did,
yeah.
you got to wonder, you're not seeing any of it? You're not at all concerned about leaving your newborn with the woman who killed her mother?
It all boils down to the safety of this newborn, because I think just being educated on Gypsy is enough to sit there and say this child, this child just should not be involved in any of this. And the fact that everyone can sit there, like the fact that everyone kind of just enables it is what bothers me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get that. And I feel like
Well,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, you have to remember, Gypsy is a master manipulator. I mean, besides the YouTube, crowd, most of America goes off of what the mainstream media narrative is. And she manipulates us, or manipulates them into believing her. She's a manipulator.
Yeah. She really, I mean, it just frustrates me that nobody will take this story and make it bigger, put it in front of an audience. The
It
fact
drives
that,
me nuts.
like the possibility that her story may not be true. Like there's got to be a reporter out there or somebody who wants to make a name for themselves that's willing to take a shot on it. I'm just saying.
I'm trying to find one. And I forgot. Walter Cronkite School I'm in Arizona, and the Walter Cronkite School's at ASU here. And I keep meaning to like reach out to them and be like, hey, any new reporters want to do because I assume they have to do like class projects.
Right.
To graduate, to find a story and dig in and report on it.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I pulled up all the phone numbers and it was over a weekend, and then I just didn't call. I need to call during the week.
Yeah, if you need any help with that, I'm on board to help. That sounds like a really good idea.
Cool.
Ivory, were you also a part of like donating money for Dee Dee's Earn when we did that for this panel?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just asking. I just wanted to know.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I don't know. That whole, I feel so bad that woman sat in a box for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just horrible. I don't know. That's just crazy to me how she didn't care about where her mother was.
Or care about how her mother was going, like it's obvious, like even being put, and I've told people this because I've gotten into I've gotten into things where Gypsy stands or defenders are like, well, it was easy to kill her mom because she was abused. And I always go to this point of, even if you're in a difficult situation with a family member and you can have thoughts like them no longer existing, whenever that situation actually happens, it's a completely different thing. And the fact that that was never like on the forethought of her mind, she just went through with it. Yeah, she didn't actually do it, or physically, but I still think that that means that she did regardless. But
I disagree. I think
what do you mean?
hands-on. I think she's full hands-on.
I do too. I do too. I
her in her little freaky psychotic mind that I think she made Nick have relations with her next to Dee.
Yeah, I do too. I do 100% think that she did it herself as well. But I was just using that analogy that, you can think something like that, but then when it actually happens, most people like in the moment are like, oh my God, no, I don't want that. I don't want it to be a reality. Usually people can, even if you're in a difficult situation with someone, the reality of them no longer exists happenings is a completely different thing. But with Gypsy having no hesitation to kill her mom, and then obviously, making it like slandering her mom's name and then not caring, where her mom gets put at after she's died, it says a lot.
Well, here's my point in regards to, what you just brought up. Ivory knows, so does Jackie, because I've explained this story before. The person that consistently harmed me growing up was supposed to be a parent, and they didn't. Let's just put it that way. And I thought of every day, because as I got older, the worse it got, of just ending it, ending him, or ending myself. So I want to bring that point across that, yes, I did think about ending his life because of what he put me through and what he put my mother through. But I still
Yeah, but
didn't do it. That man is still
exactly.
alive, and he is
Yeah.
on parole. He is on probation for the remainder of his miserable fucking life. So she
I'm
has
sorry.
no true excuse. I got help. She really has no excuse for what she did to Dee Dee.
No. And I do want to say I'm very sorry for that happened to you.
Yes, absolutely. Sabrina, I am so sorry that happened to you. You're absolutely right, though. So many people go through some sort of abuse and they don't kill the person. Murder is not their first go-to. You know what I mean? They may think about it, but they don't actually do it. And again, I'm going to bring up the Turpin kids. Look at the trauma and the abuse those children went through. Like, really think about that. Was traumatic. That was serious torture that they went through. And they never killed their parents. In fact, when they were in court during the trial, the son thanked the parents for teaching him about God. And he found something to appreciate the parents for, even though he hated them for what they did, he still loved them. She
Yeah.
shows she never had any love for her mother at all, ever.
And the thing that also bothers me is that she never once has shared any positive memories of Dee Dee. Like, but yet she clearly has them. She just never shares any positive memories of her.
Well, and it's because if she does, then her narrative of, being so abused goes out the window.
But if you
Yeah.
look at
Oh
other
yeah.
survivors,
Because
they
I can,
still talk about great memories that they had. Not every memory anybody who suffered from abuse went through was horrible.
Yeah. Like
exactly.
even in some abuse cases, people can still talk about, like, even if it's like very minor and they didn't have a lot of little, if at all, they could still at least talk about something that, a person that abused them did that they might have enjoyed. It could have been a short lived, it could have been, a brief experience, but anyone's going to have at least something positive, you know?
There is.
Think about it.
'Cause
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's a handful of positive moments I had with this man that was supposed to be a father versus the abuse that I took from him. Unfortunately, the abuse outweighs the positive, but I can still remember those positive things that were good times.
Yeah.
I don't just focus on the bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you also didn't kill him. I mean, think about Gypsy. She knows deep down that Dee Dee absolutely loved her and never abused her, never physically chained her to a bed. So I think in her mind, if she says anything good about Dee Dee, she knows she's guilty. It just I don't know how to describe that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It does. I just, even when do you guys remember that Mother's Day video she put out for Dee Dee?
Yeah, it
Even then,
pissed me off.
Oh,
it
that
was
Mother's Day video.
so,
Oh, that was disgusting.
but even then, like you're sitting there with these fake alligator tears, like, my mother, but still didn't come out with any real, like, my mother was good. My mother was, my mother did this. We were best. You didn't talk about that. Like, why don't you talk about how upset you were that you had to kill the woman that you love so much? Like, even though she did this, she was my mother and I loved her. And it's so sad that I had to kill her or felt that I had to kill her. Nothing along those lines.
Because she knows she's guilty and there was no reason for her to do what she did. And
Right.
I think sharing a good time,
In her
I don't
mind,
know.
in her mind makes her think that if I say something good, then they're not going to believe my story.
Yes,
As
thank you.
opposed
Yes.
to a real abuse victim who's like, well, yeah, there were still good times.
Right.
Along with the bad times, she can't. She feels like, oh, if I say something good happened, then they're not going to believe what I'm trying to sell them.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. I couldn't put it into words better. I couldn't put it into words at all, but
Also,
exactly.
real abuse victims don't constantly have to remind everyone they were a victim.
Right. And
You're
real
right.
abuse victim stories don't change. They just don't change. When you tell the story, they tell it verbatim. You know what I mean? The story doesn't change. Now people are like, oh, she had memory regression and she had all this other stuff. She's had 8.5 years to remember the story. You mean to tell me that in the last year she can't remember the story?
It not only that, it's a story about her life. Why would you how can you forget things about your life, like especially for an
Because it's
event
all
like this? That's what
well,
got you.
because it's
Yeah,
all made up. It's all made up. When you
Exactly.
it
lie,
is.
you can't remember your lies. You're going to lie to cover up the first lie. And what she's
Yep.
saying, like if you went through abuse and a traumatic event, you went through a traumatic event and you're not going to have to change the story.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. And then why every time you tell the story are you adding things like, well, first I was forced to take bathtubs with my grandfather. Then all of a sudden you had this miraculous memory that he threw you on top of a Walmart chest in the corner of a room. And like, yeah, that's just wild. But yet you can't remember your ass from the elbow, like what your mother's last words were to you when she was dying, the night you killed her. You don't remember what her actual last words to you were. That's changed so many times. But we're supposed to we know that you remember that your grandfather sexually abused you on top of a Walmart chest, like a plastic chest. Like, come on.
And the weird thing is, the stepmom was sleeping in the bedroom. Her and Claude were apparently in the living room, but Claude picks her up and takes her to the bedroom where his wife is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, that makes no sense, Gypsy. Come on.
Yeah, that literally makes no sense.
Yep. I agree. So again, all of these stories, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how nobody questioned it. And for Melissa Moore to run like this was the best thing that ever happened in that chick's career. Did you not read the book before you put your name on the book?
I don't think she gives a shit, to be honest.
Apparently not, because they labeled it for 5 years and up.
That's just crazy to me.
Like, she literally did not care. She just wanted credit for it. That's all she cared about.
That's all. Because let me tell you something. If someone said, I agree, I'm going to give you credit to put your name on this book, I'd be like, I have to read it first. Let me see if is it worthy of having my name on it? I mean, what money could anybody have made off this book? It was a flop. Like, let's be real. There's nobody finding it on the New York Times bestseller list anytime soon. It was nothing but a pornographic fantasy, if you ask me. Like, none of that. I mean, we're meant to believe that everything in that book actually happened to you. Again, we're going to go back to she is the worst case victim of every case of abuse known to man. Come on.
Why would you
And the only
sexualize a
and the
book
only
about
Munchausen,
abuse? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, and the only Munchausen victim that has ever unalived their perpetrator.
And survived to 23 years old. I mean,
Right.
if I
It
get
doesn't
no
happen.
blame from people, but you don't understand. Dee Dee was going to kill her. Honey, she was 23. If she was going to kill her, she'd have killed her a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
I was going to say
Raina,
go ahead. Sorry.
sorry, Code. I was gonna say Raina even made a comment last night, like when she was pulling the whole forgive mistake thing. She was a child. I did a lot of things as a child that I regret. I'm like, no, she was a 23, almost 24-year-old adult. She was not a child.
Oh, that's another thing I
Yeah.
can't people say to me. She was a kid. No, she wasn't. She was a full-grown ass adult with a bus pass, an ID. She had access to thousands of dollars. She had a cell phone and a computer. And tell me again how she was a child being stuck at home, locked up. Come on.
She had a cell phone and a computer, but instead of using that to quote unquote get help, she just used it to have sexual fantasies with men online.
She had access
Oh,
to others' money, and nobody found it funny that she obviously
I
had
think
access to that money because Dee Dee never noticed it was missing. So she had access to the money. She was sending it Nick to get a new outfit so they can go see the movie.
I think she was making money on the side, to be honest.
I agree. I agree. And did you guys read the messages between Aaliyah? I mean, she was so uneducated, right? She was so stuck at home. She had no access to the outside world. Did she start a jewelry making business? And I'm not
And was
saying
telling Aaliyah how her in-school tutor was over and she was getting all A's and
yep. I mean, so again, where was this? How do you figure? She really, there's no way that Gypsy and Christy and all of them came up with this story and thought that that stuff wasn't going to get out. Like they really thought they had all of their bases covered like that.
I don't know if it's just me, but I think Christy is the worst of all of them.
I agree with you, Codebox. I really do. I despise Christy and all of this more than even Gypsy. Just because, yes, Gypsy did the crime, but Christy did all the footwork. Well, Gypsy spent 8.5 years in prison. Christy did all the footwork to make sure that there was a story to be told and money to be made. Christy did all that legwork. Christy set up the interviews. Christy set up the book writing. Christy set up the movies. Christy did all that because she wanted her to come out and be able to make money off the story. That was Christy's only interest in any of this.
I agree.
Well, and
Yeah.
I just also want to say, Christy has been in this whole thing before even Gypsy was born.
What do you
Yeah.
mean by that? Hello?
I'm still here.
No, I was asking, what do you mean by that? Like as far as being involved with Rod and them?
Well, it wasn't just Rod. She also knew Dee Dee. She hated Dee Dee from the get-go. She acted all friendly and stuff. But let's be honest, she hated Dee Dee from the starter before she even got fucking pregnant with Gypsy.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. I agree. Yeah.
Christy always had her hand in Rod, and so did Christy's mother, who I think is just as skeezy as Christy is. Because now think about
Literally. She literally had her hands in Rod.
for real. Like she wanted Rod. Rod obviously did not like Christy because he wouldn't have bypassed her for two other women. Christy was the fallback, and that's who he ended up with. But that's not who Rod actually wanted in all seriousness. And Christy was going to get what she wanted no matter what.
Yeah, even on the wedding night of Rod and Dee Dee, Christy drug Rod out into the parking lot and started kissing him.
Think about
I
that.
think it's. I've always found it weird that they all portray Dee Dee as the awful parent, which we all know why they did that. But yeah, I always found Rod to be like worse.
Yeah. Rod, I don't understand how people are letting Rod, all these interviewers and these documentaries, and everybody's letting Rod off the hook so easy. Because let me tell you something, if Rod was any kind of man and any kind of father, I guarantee you Gypsy would not have killed her mother, and the woman would still be alive today. And Nick would not be
Hmm.
alive if Rod stepped in as a man and did what a man is expected to do.
Yeah,
And so he needs to start taking some of that responsibility. Yeah, it's your fault just as much as it is anybody else's there, Rod. I'm just saying. If not more. Because if Dee Dee really was, and I don't believe she was, but if she really was abusing Gypsy, then you were the one who is of sound mind who should have intervened if you cared at all. Just saying.
it basically means he's at fault by negligence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
And
I see, similarities between Gypsy and Ken and Rod and Christy, where the women are running the show and the men just kind of tag along and wear blinders.
Yeah,
And Christy obviously got what she wanted, and I think she had probably a big part in Rod not seeing Gypsy and Dee Dee.
yeah, I don't think it was Dee Dee that wanted to keep Rod away from Gypsy. I think it was Christy that wanted to keep Rod away from Dee Dee.
Exactly.
And I think there was always a jealousy there. I think Christy has always been jealous of Dee Dee. And then she wasn't, you're not going to have it. I don't want you going back to your ex-wife. I'm jealous, and that's it. Yeah, Jules just said both of them said, both Rod and Christy said that Dee Dee got what she asked for, quote unquote. That Dee Dee got what she asked for. Well, when somebody tell me what the hell Rod deserves.
That's disgusting.
So if she
I
kills
mean, and not only that, it's like even regardless of how you feel, like Dee Dee was the mother of his child.
yeah, you had to have cared about her to some extent at some point in your life. You made a child with her. You had to have some care for Dee Dee. Like if somebody, I have exes or, my ex-husband, if something ever happened to them, I'd be heartbroken. It doesn't mean I'm still in love with them, but I cared for them at one point. Like I would totally be heartbroken. And
I'm still friends with most of my exes, so
me
yeah.
too, but
They're
even
with
if
them for a
Once
reason.
money got involved, it's because money got involved and he got to reap the benefits. All of a sudden, he don't care about Dee Dee.
and that how, they have to understand how disgusting it looks for them to be making money and living off of this crime. Your daughter killed your ex-wife and you're financially profiting off of it, you scum of the earth. And then you're going to come back at people and be like, how dare you talk bad about us, not let us live our life? Because you shouldn't be riding on the monetary gain of your ex-wife's murder.
Nope, they should not.
And you should be a little bit more angry at the fact, he did that interview where he's like, I'd never tell Gypsy what she did was wrong. Are you scared of her like you should be? Or do you really not think that she did anything wrong? Because if you didn't, then if she murders you at night and she kills you, then you deserve everything. And what? She should pay the price because you got what you asked for, Rod. You didn't show up.
Hmm.
I don't think Winnie just said, I personally think Rod is slow. I don't think Rod is slow. I think Rod is smart enough to let people think he's a dumbass. I don't think he's actually as dumb as he's trying to come off to be.
I think he's just very negligent.
I think that he absolutely lets Christy wear the pants. Christy absolutely calls all the shots. And to be honest with you, I think that's why Gypsy is home in Metairie with Ken and Raina and not home getting help from Christy and Rod is because Christy and Gypsy are now at odds because only one can have full control over everybody. And they both need to be in full control all the time. In my opinion, of course.
And that's not something, you can't have two people in the same place who want control, because obviously it's going to end up imploding where one of them's where it's just going to end up with both of them imploding on top of each other. So the clash of egos or clash of control.
Yeah. Yep. I really think that, I know people were saying that, oh, Christy's taking care of the baby. I don't believe that she is. I really believe that they're separate right now because those two hens in a hen house, not going to work out well.
Mm-mm. I really do feel for this baby, though.
Well, and let's be honest here too, with Gypsy in the house, it's a constant reminder to Christy
Of Dee.
of Dee Dee.
You gotta wonder. I don't know if all of you have kids, but I remember looking down at my kids when they were born and thinking, like, I can't believe how much I love you. And it's crazy to think that my mother loved me the same way I love you. You know what I mean? So you got to wonder if she's not looking down at this kid thinking, like, having any kind of remorse. You need to tell me there's no guilt in there, thinking, like, wow, I love her so much. Like, my mother actually cared about me. Or am I expecting too many feelings and emotions from a sociopath?
Well, I was referring to Christy and Gypsy, but as far as Gypsy and the baby, I hope it is a constant reminder of what she did and what she made her child miss out on when it comes to having a grandmother like Dee Dee.
But I don't think she cares. That's the problem. She doesn't have the ability to care or feel or love.
Then you have to wonder why Ken wants to be. There's got to be something else, because if somebody genuinely cares about you. Like, I know that my husband genuinely loves me and cares about me. Right? I've been with men who were attracted but don't really care. So I know that my husband, the guy I'm with every day, genuinely cares about me. If that's what you're looking for from her and you're not getting it, why are you still there? Unless there's another reason for Ken to be there altogether.
Well, we know that Gypsy likes to threaten people, so she probably threatens, like, Aurora over everything. If you don't do this, you're not going to see your baby. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of feel bad for that baby is going to be used as a pawn in an awful lot of relationships.
It already is, yeah.
I feel like that baby, did she want a baby because she wanted to be a mother, or did she want a baby because that's the ultimate pawn? That's the ultimate.
I agree with you, Irie. I honestly think it's a possession thing and to use the baby like a pawn over people's heads. Honestly, that's my personal thought.
I think she just wanted to be pregnant. I don't think she wanted a baby.
For the attention, you think?
Yeah.
Because I believe that pregnancy did not go down the way she was expecting. I think that she wanted so bad to be this, people can't help but to look at pregnant women, even men. It's just like, oh, look at the woman with the little belly. You know what I mean?
And she's glowing and yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she really wanted that. Now, everyone's like, oh, do you think she really wore a belly? I really do think she wore a fake belly because she wanted to have people look at her and compliment her on the baby and get the attention that pregnant women get, but she didn't show enough to get that attention, and that's why her stomach was all different sizes. I think she was doing it on the internet and for the show and in these pictures to be like, look, see, look at me, I got a belly, when in fact she really didn't.
Right. But then the crazy thing is, intermittently, she's taking other videos and stuff, like showing off her hot bod. Like, what do you want, Gypsy? Which is it? Are you pregnant or you got your stripper body today?
Yeah, like the half shirts and the come on. Yeah, it makes no sense. Like, why do you want us to look at you? Look at me because I'm pregnant. Look at me because I have a body. She's just wild. The attention, the need for attention is, I don't know how she's been this quiet on social media, to be honest with you. I'm pretty impressed.
Everybody that I
She got in
know,
trouble. She's in trouble with her PO about that. She's not allowed to be unless it is regarding the book or the show.
Work, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Jackie?
everybody that I know that's just had a baby, like I have so many on my Facebook newsfeed, they're not showing their body, like they're literally showing their baby, and they're like, oh, and every time you see them post, it's literally like, you know, like the 1 month blanket and stuff, and then the 2 month blanket next to the baby. They're not like, look at me, I look so sexy. Like they're not doing that. Like they're showing their baby.
Because when a woman has a baby, we all know and expect it to be about the baby. In fact, we make it about the baby. That's the first, that's when we take everything off of us and we make the children our center of attention.
Yeah.
She's not reacting like a normal mother, like, oh, look at my baby. Now I get you don't want your baby to be in social media. Show a foot. Show daddy's hand with the baby's hand. There's a way you can do it without showing that baby's face or giving too much information.
Exactly. There's so many ways.
Watch tomorrow we get a picture of a foot.
You know what's going to happen.
I know.
You're not making that baby the focus of the attention.
There's so many things, like, you know how like you get people get like the cast of the little hands and the little feet, and they do like the pregnancy cast of like the pregnant belly. I mean, she could have like casted the the fake belly that she wore, and it made out like that was the baby. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways that she could be doing it. Like put them in like a little frame. Like right now she could go get her baby feet casted and put on the wall and show it, instead of, well, look at my body. Like, there's so many other things that she could do, bar post that baby, but still be about the baby.
You can post a quote about, how much a mother cares for her child, or what a child means to a mother, or there's so many ways that you can give that child attention without showing that child, but she doesn't. It's not about the baby for her. It's got to be about her solely.
Exactly.
And that's really, how are people not seeing that? Like,
I don't know. And then it's crazy.
Like you're sitting there dancing about, oh, look at me, look what I look like a week postpartum. First of all, there ain't nobody gonna tell me that was 1 week postpartum. That's bullshit. But here you are sitting there trying to be all cute. You know what I mean? Showing your belly and you showing everybody your body. But meanwhile, you haven't said a thing. And even when you were on lives, or, you know what I mean? Like Ken was talking about the baby, there was no genuine, like, oh, I love my baby, my little girl. It just didn't come off as either one of them can care any less. Like, it didn't sound like Ken cared when he was talking about her. Like Raina gave specific, like, description of her. You know what I mean? She was pink. She looked so cute. She smelled so cute. She was brand new. Her cute little eyes, and she was looking right in my eyes. And her, like, neither one of them said anything that shows that they even care about the kid.
And she's adorable.
Yeah, like, my little snuggly poo, or, whatever. Like, say something that shows that you're a new parent, because I don't know, their version of being new parents, I can't associate with that. Like, I don't understand it.
I don't think there's a bond with the baby.
No, I don't really think there's, not even really a genuine one.
No, definitely not. And then I'm not going to sit here. I would never talk bad about a child under any circumstances because kids are always innocent. But her behavior on social media and even with mainstream media makes me think something is wrong with that baby. I really do believe something could be wrong with that baby.
Yeah, I do too.
Why you hid nothing in your entire life. In fact, you shouted from the rooftops about the affair you were having on your husband. You don't keep anything quiet unless it can seriously do damage to your narrative. And I feel like that baby might not be as, I don't want to say healthy, but yeah, that baby might have something wrong with it. And that's why she's not.
Yeah, I don't understand why they haven't tested her.
Or did they? Raina just didn't want to say that they did because then we're all going to look for results, and the results aren't what they want.
The people that believe Gypsy, I've always thought, like, I don't want to put the murder of Dee Dee aside, but, like, these are the same women that all have husbands. A lot of them have husbands. And I think, like, how can you support a woman? Not only did she kill her mum, but, like, you all have husbands and you're supporting the fact that she's a dirty little cheater. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you want her in your, would you have these women that believe her, would you have her in your home around your man? I certainly wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hold on. I'm sorry, I'm chewing on a potato chip right now, but I had to say this. I wouldn't let these people babysit Moo. Forget about leaving him alone with a newborn baby.
but, like, you know what I mean? Like, these same women, like Brie and all that, like, they have husbands. Like, and they're supporting that, you know, she cheated on her husband. Like, and all I've ever seen of this woman is sexual deviancy. And I would not, if I was a supporter of her and I was her friend, I'd be like, yeah, you're not going anywhere near my man, mate. Like, I don't trust your ass. Like, how can they trust her?
I don't, usually the man doesn't bring the hoe home to mommy. But in this case,
I don't think Ken intended to.
Well, that's exactly. I don't think there was any intention for that. I think that she tried to trap Ken. Because again, you think Raina was expecting Nat to come home? No.
Did you hear what Raina said? Well, there was one little bit that I heard her say, and she was like, "Well, we didn't all agree with it at the same thing." And agree with what? Like, did you guys definitely not want her around? Like, you know, you didn't want her to get pregnant? Like, it's like, well, it's happened now, so I guess we're going to have to deal with it. And then someone, I don't know who it was on the panel, did you guys hear them bring up the sister? I was like, yes. Because remember, the sister didn't like Gypsy?
Yes, Ken's sister, the one that didn't like Gypsy, and then the mother would pay her no mind and nobody would help the sister.
Yeah. And then she's like, oh, she does now. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Because I don't know.
Here you are supporting Gypsy, a murderer, and you're not even showing any love towards your own kid.
Yeah. I mean, I think it might be to do with, well, if I don't support her, then I'm never going to see that grandkid. And I think Misbehaving said it before that, you know, they've pretty much got to, like, support her because what are they going to do? They can't see the kid. Like, because she's a psychopath and will make out, like, I can't remember what she said, but it was something like, well, you're never going to see that baby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she threatens people.
Exactly.
I guarantee
I agree
she's
with
in
you.
contact
Yeah.
with Nick, threatening him in prison.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let's all be honest. How much trouble do you all think that Raina got in last night for jumping up on that panel and saying what she said?
Oh, I'm pretty sure she got scolded.
Yeah. Her phone
I think
was
she got
going
in trouble
off.
for the house. You know how she mentioned the house instead of the apartment?
I feel like they wanted her to go up there, but they weren't expecting her to go where she went with the whole thing. Like, this is your assignment. Go up there, explain these two things, and get the hell out of Dodge. And she stayed around. And did you hear that phone going off? And she's like, yeah, that's him. Ken was going insane.
Well, Yeah, because Ken got up the night before and he followed every direction that Gypsy gave. And then when Raina went up and she kind of steered off and became a real person and sharing her true thoughts, yeah, I'm sure Gypsy was going ape shit. Which
That's
means
so
Ken is
funny.
going ape shit. Yeah.
Because he's like, I have to listen to this all night now. You know what I mean? Like, she's going to be going me all night because of you, Mum. Like, really? Did you have... Like, she stayed on that panel for a while. I fell asleep.
Did you?
That's why I missed it.
Listen, I feel like she just went to an area of conversation she should not have gone. I feel like she was kind of like, she didn't have a choice either, though. You know? But yeah, she went, pushing their narrative made her look like she was cold. And she didn't want people to think she was cold. And so I think that's why she went where she went with the discussion. But yeah, in some shit
Someone
today.
said, who was the girl at the hospital that Raina was talking about? I didn't hear that bit.
She did mention a girl. What did she say?
I don't know because I think I fell asleep.
I think it
I
was
missed that part.
when she went to go visit them in the hospital. By the time Raina got there, they were like, well, who was there? And they said that Ken was there and Gypsy's friend, the other girl. And they said Bree. And she was like, no, I met Bree. It wasn't Bree. It was some
Yeah, she said it was
girl.
a brunette. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that as well.
Who's the brunette?
I don't know. It's not like she has friends. Let's be real.
Maybe Bree was wearing a wig.
Possibly, but now that Bree's gonna find out that Gypsy's cheating on her. Ooh.
Well, Bree's going to be out of the picture come June 25th anyway.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that video of Gypsy and she was eating and she was like, like, and then Ken's like, can you not do that? And I was sitting there like, he doesn't like you. Could you imagine listening
when he
to
said
someone?
stop smacking your lips?
Oh my God, yes, that's what he said.
He was reading the chat because everyone in chat was like, oh my God, stop smacking your lips. So he was reading that from the chat.
I can't.
But she was though, like the noise, like I can't handle it when other people make that noise. Like I think the only person on the planet I can handle is my own child. Anybody else, fair game. I'm like, stop. Like I can't handle it.
That and people dragging their feet drives me bonkers.
Or smacking a fork on a plate is mine.
No, the fork touching your teeth. That's it. I will step away. I will not.
Someone smacking their gum bothers me too.
Oh, I'm a gum smacker. So
I am too.
Now that I know that box, next time I'm on a live, I'll slap my gum for you.
No, please don't.
Hold on, how do you slap a gum? What do you mean?
Smack you pop the, I don't know, you little, I don't know. How do you describe that? You smack it. You pop, pop, pop. Like
It's when you go
oh, yeah, I'm not a fan.
I can't.
But I've never heard you do that.
Who?
I've never heard you make that noise.
Because I usually don't chew gum while I'm on the telephone. That's just etiquette. But I mean, I am one of those people that.
Nah, see, I've been on the phone with you longer than most people have had hot dinners, and I've never heard anything annoying. You've eaten, you've drank. I've never heard. Nah, you don't annoy me like that.
Oh yeah, no, I don't slurp when I eat or do any of that nonsense. But I pop my
Yeah.
gum.
Avery, let's go get some gum.
That's what I'm
Oh
saying.
no! Stop!
Stop! Big bag of it, and we'll just start popping.
Nah, not
down.
I'm really curious who this brunette is because I mean, let's be real though, and no one's noticed she's been out a year and she doesn't actually have friends. Like the only friend you met was this chick who stalked your stepmother on TikTok.
Ooh, Fine Wine just made a comment. Rachel.
Who's Rachel?
Oh, Rachel Garlic.
Rachel
Is that
the
what
one?
you mean?
Yeah, who named her daughter after Gypsy, and Gypsy was the godmother.
I don't think Rachel talks to her anymore.
I didn't think
just
so
saw
either,
Rachel-
but
No, I just
she's
saw Rachel
brunette,
video
I think.
today.
Dave's here, Ivory. He's saying hello to you.
Is he? Where is he?
I don't know. They're all like, Uncle Dave's here.
Are you here, Dave?
Yeah, I can see him now.
Oh, hey, Dave. She said she had dark hair, but she didn't know who it was. That's what I'm saying. It's not like she has friends. Which, again, you would get the fuck off of TikTok. Pardon my language. But you would get the hell off of TikTok and go make some friends. Like, you want to talk about isolated. Honey, you isolate yourself more than your mother ever did. You ain't even got a real friend. Did you all see her baby shower? Did you all see the gender reveal? There was nobody there other than, I mean, your lawyer. You had to pay. I mean, let's be real. What does a lawyer charge? You had to pay your lawyer to be at your baby shower?
Oh, maybe the brunette was her attorney.
Huh?
Maybe the brunette was her attorney.
Oh,
You think so?
It's got to be somebody she pays, but she ain't got friends. Like
That's
Melissa
true.
had a baby shower. Raina had to bring her friends to Gypsy's baby shower. Like there wasn't anybody there for Gypsy.
Yeah.
That
Like,
baby shower was so embarrassing.
Anyone there that was at the baby shower was not there because they're genuinely like, oh my God, Gypsy, I'm your friend. I want to be here and support this special moment. It's all people she's either paid or all people that are basically with her through, through this whole circus that she's created.
They were either Blanchard, Urkers, or on the payroll. How sad is that?
Yeah.
Including Bree.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, we
Yeah.
all know she gets something out of what she does. So here you are talking about my whole life I had no friends. Meanwhile, your mother socialized you, made sure you got out, you had movie nights in your little cul-de-sac, you had all kinds of things, and here you are, you ain't got a friend. You got nobody. You isolate yourself. It's wild.
I was reading, it's crazy. I was reading some news articles from back in 2015, where Gypsy was saying like Claude was her best friend, but I'd also mentioned like all the friends she had, and they were always out and about, and always so social. She wasn't locked in her room or in her house. It's stupid.
No, her mother made sure she had more friends than she knows how to make today.
Well, let's put it this way. If you had a choice, would you live next door to Gypsy or Nick?
Nick.
Yeah, me too.
I'd
Nobody
live
wants
with
to be
Nick
her friend.
before I lived next door to Gypsy.
Yeah, same. I would 100% feel comfortable living with Nick.
Yeah, I would do that because Nick, I do not think, even after, the crime's been all said and done, I genuinely do not think he's a bad person.
I do not think Nick is a bad person. I do not think Nick is dangerous to an extent. I think he still can be manipulated, but that just goes with his vulnerability. So, and I think possibly the fact that he's so easily manipulated could make him dangerous again. But I don't think he's naturally dangerous on his own. Am I making sense?
Oh,
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
That's how I feel. Yep. That's how I've always felt about Nick. I don't think he himself is dangerous, but I do think he can be in the wrong hands of somebody else. And not just for like people, but for himself as well.
Yeah.
I think he's become more aware of the fact that he can be manipulated. And I mean, for 2 years, he kept saying, no, let's just run away. I mean, he tried to do the right thing over and over and over. And Gypsy's like, well, if you don't do this, you won't have me. And he was so in love with her. And he really thought she was being hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I was
no,
on
I would absolutely feel more comfortable around Nick because, yeah, because I don't, like, if I was around Nick, I wouldn't have to feel like I have to, sleep with one eye open or anything like that. I genuinely think that he's a good person.
yeah, that I think he would be safe, as in very protective to be around.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd wake up to breakfast in bed if I lived with him.
I just feel like, he's not going to allow someone to harm anybody. I think he just
Yeah,
genuinely has that protectiveness
he's
about him.
he's noble.
Yeah.
I
Which
think
is
he just cared about having someone who cared about him.
right. That I think is a big deal on what he felt like he was lacking and why he latched onto Gypsy. Gypsy was filling a void. Now, I don't know Stephanie. I don't know much about her. I don't know much about Bobby or any of their relationship with Nick, other than what we know. But I feel like there was definitely a void in his life where he felt like, when people keep saying, "Oh, he was autistic. He doesn't know if he's loved," or that's not true. That's not true. Just because you're autistic doesn't mean you don't know that people love you or don't love you, or you know what I mean. And I feel like that maybe his relationship with his mother wasn't the best. I know she had issues. I know that stepfather had issues. And I feel like Gypsy may have filled a void that he had in his life from it. And that's why he latched onto her so tightly.
Well, and here's something also with Nick that a lot of people do tend to forget. If you have children that are autistic or on the spectrum, most of them are. I'm going to put it in two different ways for people to help people understand. They are the prime definition of ride or die and loyal to every bit of their being. And that's what Gypsy manipulated. And she knows that. And that's, even though he was trying his hardest for those 2 years, he was like, no, let's do this, or hey, let's do this, or hey, let's do this, where it did not harm Dee Dee. She kept pushing it to the point where his loyalty kicked in and it broke.
Yeah,
His
because
moral compass.
he even said in his emails, like, it would be a last resort. I really don't want to do this. She completely brainwashed him. She manipulated him. And I was going to say something else and I forgot. Oh, I think, we know that he had a girlfriend prior, but you remember like your first love back in high school. I think for him, that was a lot of it too. Like, I'm still really good friends with my first love from high school. I would never live with him, but
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, it was his first true love, and
and it's like, I have to relook again, but I think it was Uncle David. Yeah, thank you, David. Dee Dee liked Nick, so I honestly think that that's another reason he didn't want to do it. He's like, it was confused in his head of, wait, how can Dee Dee like me and treat me so nicely, but yet supposedly she's doing all these things to, my one true love.
That's
and
when
it confused him.
That's when that narrative changed to, now that Dee Dee likes Nick, Gypsy can't have that. So now I have to give Nick reasons why he has to hate Dee Dee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
I was going to say one other thing too I believe, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Nick was also an animal lover as well.
Oh, he is. Yeah, and Gypsy called it his political garbage bullshit or something to that effect. She's just evil. She's so evil. And the poor guy, even when he walked in that night, he said, I had an angel on one shoulder, the devil in the other. Well, unfortunately, the devil was in the same room, so.
Right. Well, and I just read a comment as well. Let me double check it real quick.
I
Where'd it
think the
go?
Brownie video is telling too, where you could tell he felt genuinely bad about it, and then she gives him the brownie to get over it.
Well, and
Yeah, he couldn't
okay,
stop
so
crying that night.
And that's
the
the whole thing about being raped. The poor guy admitted multiple times he never, in the entirety of their relationship, was able to get it up with her because of the guilt he felt, and he knew something was wrong. In my opinion,
I agree. And as far as the comment that I was talking about was Dee Dee even agreed for her and Nick to be together. Like, go with that boy. Like, again,
Yeah, but I think
so
Gypsy wanted,
if
Gypsy
you're
wanted the
supposed
house.
if I was gonna say if your supposed abuser is telling you to go and be with somebody and trying to keep you and is supposedly keeping you captive, the math ain't mathin'.
Yeah, because an abuser tries their everything in their power to make sure you stay as that person they're abused. They wouldn't just say, "Oh, run along now. Go ahead and have a good time."
yeah. Now, if I believe, if I go ahead, Sabrina.
No, please finish. It was
I
a
was
random noise.
I was just going to say that, Dave, you're in here, and as far as I know, Gypsy knew that Nick had autism. Gypsy knew that Nick was on medication. Am I right in saying that, Dave? I believe I am.
I believe so.
So she knew automatically that he would be the perfect target after he spilled that.
Well, she even bragged to the girls in prison, like, ha ha ha, I had him wrapped around my finger. I could just snap and he'd do whatever I told him to.
That's so sad to me. And I was on a live. Sorry, I'm eating potato chips, guys. I was on a live with Toddy this
God
morning.
damn it, I gotta go get potato chips now.
And
Hold on.
I was on a live with Toddy earlier, and we were talking about that whole Fancy and Dawn thing and how they went with and they did that shit to Nick, which is absolutely disgusting. Now, I didn't know about that from the beginning, but now that I know about that, that in and of itself is just psycho nuts. But can you imagine
Agreed.
Nick right now? Everyone's like, I emailed Nick, and Nick doesn't want anything to do with these creators. And I remember in the beginning when his family reached out to me, and like they were all very sus of all of us creators, and they were like, stop talking about my son. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with these people? Why wouldn't you want me to help you put the truth out? And I didn't understand why these families were like making such a big deal out of those of us who actually wanted to try and help Nick. Like I was like, what the hell's wrong with you all? You know? And now, having opened my eyes and looked around and did a little digging and seeing, I'm like, I totally get why, number one, Nick can never trust anybody, and I don't blame him. So I can see why people can't message him, or, I mean, literally, you had somebody go in there, his girlfriend nonetheless, and you did that to him. You set him up. So, of course, that man isn't going to trust anybody.
Especially women.
Well,
Yeah,
nor
I
his
think Gypsy and Bree did the same thing. They went in and was like pretending to be his girlfriend and trying to get him to say horrible things, and then turned around like, oh, like he said he was being abusive to me.
Oh, I saw those messages too. Yeah, that's
Like they're trying to set him up to fulfill Gypsy's narrative, but it's all
Yeah.
lies.
Same thing with you got Fancy reaching out to the family. You got creators
Yeah.
who have their, you know what I mean, who aren't on the right side of things reaching out. And then here we are, honestly, just trying to help. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with these spastic people? Why are they coming at me like that? I'm just trying to help. And now I feel like after watching and doing a lot more digging and opening my eyes to a lot more of the creator nonsense and all of that, I'm like, oh my God, I would totally be like that to me too. Like none of these people are able to trust anybody right now because you got these sick individuals out there going. I mean, you're just as bad as Gypsy Fancy if you tried to manipulate Nick and his family. Like, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to sit there and mention creators or talk shit about people, or I'm really not. This isn't because I don't like Fancy. This is because I'm actually really disappointed. Like, that's psychotic for you to sit there, a man who's in prison because somebody manipulated him so bad, and then you used manipulation to try and push a Blanchard narrative, and now you're going to try and use manipulation because they let you go, and not, like, it's just wild to me, the manipulation. And you're going to sit here and be like, oh, the poor guy was manipulated while you're manipulating him. And now I wouldn't want to talk to me either, or any of us on the right side of things, because I
No.
don't trust anybody
Well,
either.
He
Really
put
quick,
100,000% trust in Gypsy, and look where that got him.
Yeah.
really quick. I hate to interrupt. So the attorney, brunette, hold on. Let me. Hosted the gender reveal
Right.
in Louisiana. That's who the brunette possibly was.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Her
It's not a
attorney.
friend.
Thank you, Pam. But no, like Nick got railroaded from the beginning, and I will say, to my understanding, this isn't the first person with autism that Gypsy has manipulated and gotten in trouble. She apparently did it when she was younger to a neighborhood autistic girl.
Oh yeah. The
And
one that had the
so,
key.
She did it
right.
to
And
everybody.
Yeah.
so she found her target when it came to who to manipulate. And it's sad that Nick has to suffer with this on his conscience, as well as be stuck in a prison, most likely the rest of his life.
And the fact that Gypsy doesn't care. Oh, and earlier before I hopped on, you guys were saying something about people's narrative of she's done her time, leave her alone. But that's not true. She's on parole. She's still doing her time, and they're letting her get away with murder. I mean, well, yeah, you know what I mean. Just
literally, literally.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah,
With murder.
That statement, like when people say that, like the supporters, irritate the piss out of me, because you know what? I know people that got caught with, let's just say, paraphernalia, that was only for personal use, that have done more time than Gypsy has for murder. Let that
and just
sink
like
in.
there's parolees that can't cross the state lines while they're on parole. They can't be at a restaurant at a table where people are drinking. I mean, we could go on and on.
Did you see Pam's comment, Miss Ivory?
So remember Rogie met the baby before Bree? Rogie's wife works for that attorney?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was I just got totally off track. I don't remember what I was going to say now.
I'm
What were we
sorry.
just talking about? No, that's all right. What were we just talking about?
I know I made the comment that let that sink in, that I know people that had, let's say, personal paraphernalia on them, and they have done more time than Gypshit has for murder.
I don't understand how the man who was hired, technically he was hired, he was paid in sex, but whatever, that's my opinion. The man who was hired to do the murder got more time than the person who planned the murder.
It doesn't make sense, honestly, because there is people that actually hired the hitman for said different crimes that are doing equal time currently. So what makes her so goddamn special?
I think there's corruption within Springfield higher up. I think Gypsy, this is my personal opinion, I think she was kind of selling herself on the side, and some higher up people were part of that, because I've seen a couple officers that were arrested for child pornography in that area. It seems like there's some kind of cover up, and they didn't even give Nick a fair trial. They're just like, oh, he said he did it. Case done.
Hell, prime example, and I hate to bring this up, but the person that did what they did to me spent a whole whopping 4 months in jail. And he's labeled as an SO the rest of his life because he did. But the fact that he didn't get any prison time goes to show you how corrupt our society really is, because someone like Gypsy and people like him are out there every day not getting the proper punishments versus the people who get caught with a little bit of weed. They're getting more time than pedophiles and murderers.
Collar crimes sit in prison for decades at a time, and this chick murdered somebody and is out living her best life. I mean,
Right?
unfortunately.
Did you guys read what Nick's dad said in the chat last night about Nick being sued for $600,000?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. And I said, Bobby, by who? Take a wild guess.
Fancy.
Dan Patterson.
Dan. No, wait, what? Hold on.
I want to know. Yeah, I want to know what that's all about.
Wait, why would Dan Patterson?
I don't know.
Be suing Nick?
Sparked my interest, though.
Oh, I'm going down this rabbit hole.
Let that sink in. Yeah, I took screenshots of it. I can send it to you later.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
I did a video last year on what misbehaving was saying. I said that it was something along the lines of, like, I reckon, like, she was out the back and she was, rooting a couple of people that had something to do, like, with getting her off parole. And I was, like, joking but not joking, and the video got banned. And then when misbehaving just said it then, I'm like, somebody else thinks like me.
As far as her selling herself on the side, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like, that's what I mean. Like, like what Ivory calls it Ruby's Playhouse, you know what I mean? Like, she was playing around with a couple of important people from what I think.
Oh, hell
yeah. Well,
either the Playhouse or Beyond the Foliage.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, Jackie, I'm still team reborn doll.
I think that's crazy.
In Australia, she literally would be in jail for life. If I was to organise somebody to kill someone else, I would be in jail for life, and they probably wouldn't even be in jail for that long. They would be, but if there was, like, if I ordered 2 people to do it, the one that did lesser would get, like, 10, 11 years. The other one would get, like, 25 to life or whatever. But I would get life without parole. They, even though they killed them, would get 25 to life depending on the crime. So Who is she sleeping with? That's
You know, what I don't
Well, look,
understand with this whole thing is the Blanchards and everybody felt like Gypsy should get out early because she was being abused. Now, ultimately, the story is that Gypsy told Nick that she was being abused by Dee Dee, and so Nick helped her kill her mother so she stopped the abuse, right? That's their story, right? So then to the Blanchards and Gypsy and Ken and everybody else, I say, why are you not assisting Nick with this clemency and his thing if he's nothing but a hero for your daughter? If he stopped the woman who is supposedly abusing your daughter, why are you all not gathering to help this man who helped your daughter?
Because that doesn't fit their narrative.
Like, wouldn't you think that if that was actually the story, because I mean, that's the story they put out too. But if that's the story, then why aren't you helping Nick?
Right? But simple. It doesn't fit their narrative and what they want. And they want him to rot because there's probably more to the story that Nick has that, again, loyalty to their last breath, he won't speak on it.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. Is
I'm
Bobby
sorry.
Bobby's not
He's
in the
not.
chat, is he?
No, I just looked.
Um,
Can you repeat what you just said? I'm sorry. I don't know what your name is because it's not on your
that's
little
you, Sabrina.
Oh,
Sabrina.
I didn't know you were talking to me. I apologize.
I'll be up.
I missed what you had just said.
What I said was the unfortunate part about being loyalty to the last breath is they want him to rot, and they think if they keep them, they let him rot in there and have him stay in there, he will still keep that loyalty till his dying breath. And I think he knows a lot more to the story than he's ever talked about. Again, with the whole loyalty thing to the last breath, he's not going to speak on it. And so they don't want that to come out. They don't want someone to quote unquote manipulate him to speak the truth and speak his truth. And so I think that's why they're keeping him locked up and
Well,
hoping that he rots in there.
I think he wants to speak his truth, but he's being very careful right now and hopes to get another appeal before he says anything. And I guarantee Gypsy is threatening him, third party, to keep quiet because if the real story
for
gets
sure.
out, she's screwed.
You know what's funny is Gypsy thinks that she's all powerful, like she has some kind of power over everybody. But the one that actually holds the power is Nick, because Gypsy's story's already out there. She's already told it so many times. Now, if Nick gets his story out there and it differs from hers,
Great
and
point. Yeah.
you can tell it's true, she's got no defense of it because now you wrote books and you have movies and you have these documentaries and you can't change the story anymore. Now you try to veer and you exaggerate, but you can't change it anymore. And so Nick is the one right now who holds all the power. And so I know he's not talking right now because he's got this thing coming up. But let me tell you something. That man is going to open his mouth one day and her entire story is going to get shut down. And I think she believes that if he's still in prison, nobody will give him the time of day. But I can assure you, sweet cheeks, I will make sure somebody gives him the time of day.
I
And
hope someone
that
does.
still stands as justice for Nick. Justice for Nick, maybe he won't get out. Maybe he won't get the clemency. But somehow we will still find justice for Nick, even if it's helping him get his story out there. I'm just saying.
Well, that's why I think she's
Miss
threatening a
Miss
third
Ivory,
party because she knows.
I think Jackie accidentally got kicked. You might have to bring her back in. There we go.
What were you saying, Misbehaving? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, like, I think that's why she's threatening Nick third party right now, because she knows once he opens his mouth, she's done.
And that's why Bree is doing her nonsense too.
And why is Bree part of NPG?
Because why not? She was for Nick the entire time, and now all of a sudden, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They play that really well.
Because of that, it makes me skeptical of NPG, thinking that because Bree's part of it, like he trusts NPG, and I think that's how Gypsy's contacting him.
I know that he trusts NPG. Now, Dave
Yeah,
is,
but
and I know
he's
Dave.
easily manipulated.
He's easily manipulated. And if I can't verify who NPG is, I can't ride with NPG. That's just the way it is. Now, Dave said, please write to the governors. Absolutely, I will put that out there. And you know that I will absolutely do that. But I don't know who NPG is. And again, he is easily manipulated. How is Bree, who is the proxy for Gypsy, part of NPG? How are we supposed to trust that? I don't know how Nick trusts that. But do we even know?
That's how I think Gypsy is in contact with them and threatening him. And yeah, the governor and his attorneys, Bobby was saying those are all due no later than February 1st, which is like in 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah, we could definitely put those out there. I know I've been putting them out there. I feel bad because this boy's got a story, and I don't know what they're all pulling. NPG doesn't trust anybody trying to go out there and do right by Nick, but you're gonna trust Bree? Hey, Dave.
Well, the fact that no one can like verify who they are, it's very suspicious.
And then you got to wonder, like, I know Bobby pushes NPG, but Bobby, I question whether or not you even know who they are. And you're not being manipulated. And you got to think that if we're not trusting them because we don't want to see any of you manipulated, then you got to understand that we're coming from, you know what I mean? We're looking out for you guys, regardless of what you think. But I just can't ride with MPG without any verification. And then look who they're associated with.
Yeah.
Who is not in Nick's best interest at all.
Exactly. I think it's a manipulation tactic, but every once in a while they put stuff out kind of against Gypsy, but I don't know.
Now Dave is saying
it's
that
Nick's lawyers,
but I don't know how informed Nick's lawyers are as far as who else is associated with NPG or pushing it. So,
and if it's Nick's lawyers, why are they so hesitant to be verified?
Yeah. I mean, I would I would definitely do everything in my power. All of us would, to help NPG if we could. And no one's asking for any kind of personal, but show some kind of proof that we're backing the right person to support you all. That's what frustrates me, is that we're all trying to support you all, and you're telling us, trust these people who nobody knows who they are. I don't trust anybody like that.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry who we are. Just roll with us.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Verify, because I'm sorry, but you know what I mean? Nick is easily manipulated. And I don't know you guys well enough to know whether or not you are. I don't even know that you know who NPG really is. You're saying it's Nick lawyers, but I don't know that you actually know that that's Nick's lawyers. And if it is, why would he be so against the ones that are actually trying to help? You know what I mean? So none of that, I don't understand that whole NPG thing. And I just can't ride with them because, again, I refuse to back somebody who may be potentially harming him. And I just don't, I don't know anybody enough to be like, oh, I trust this person, Dave, I love you to death. You've been here with me since day one, but I go on your word, dude, that you are who you say you are. Like, that's not, You know what I mean? And regardless of who you are, it's, you're still good people in my head, which is why, you know what I mean? But again, you can't verify any of it. And it's so, the letters are going to Nick's lawyers. He's taking it to the governor. Right. That I do believe. That I do know. That I do know
and
the address, but we can't confirm that those lawyers are actually NPG. That's what, you would think NPG would vote a little bit more and push these letters then if they were so important.
And the thing that makes me suspicious is, seems like part of MPG is pro Nick, and then sometimes it's kind of pro Gypsy.
Yeah.
Like, and then they can't, people try to verify, like you said, so we can help them out, but they refuse to verify who they are. And it just, something super shady about it.
Right. And again, you don't need to verify a person, but there's been no description of who they actually are, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's on NPG's page. Yes, but I can make a page and say that I'm NPG, and how would anybody know that I'm not really NPG? So, you know what I mean? Like, I understand the frustration there, but at the same point, they're just, in my opinion, NPG just seems like they back Gypsy a little bit more than I would like to see.
Yeah, and Fine Wine just said the perfect word. They have no transparency. And you would think if they want to help, they'd be completely transparent about who they are, how we can help. Because
if they were legitimate, they would absolutely say, this is who we are. We either want your help, or it would be more helpful if you all step back and let us do our thing. And I would totally respect that.
Because usually people like that who would want to help, the first thing they would be above everything else is transparent.
Yes. You know what I mean? And I really would. I would respect it if they were like, listen, it's just, let us do our thing. You guys really aren't helping. And I would totally be like, all right, then go ahead, you do your thing. And, if you need anything, you let me know. And Dave, when you guys asked me to step back, I did. I completely respected you. It's really hard for me to take the word of somebody I can't verify. This is the internet. Gypsy could be NPG and I wouldn't know any different.
That's what I worry about. Yeah. I think that she is part of it.
And
even
and
the simple, what was that?
And none of us would be able to prove it.
Yeah. Even the simple thing that Sir Morbid did with the urns, like, he collected money. He was totally transparent. He showed everybody where the money was going, like this and that and this and that. Like, he had receipts for everything. But MPG is just like, oh, just trust us. You don't need to know who we are.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that's wild. You can't, no. That's the one, if for somebody to sit there and be like, just take me at my word, that is the biggest reason for me not to take you at your word. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I get the letters for Nick and I get how they were helped. But other than that, like, what are they doing? Like, what is your purpose?
You've got Planty and Jeanette in the chat having a tantrum.
Oh, we're beating a dead. I like to beat dead horses, Jeanette. So just let me beat my dead horse. If you don't want to beat the dead horse, then don't be in here.
Is that DJ Jeanette?
Bree isn't involved with MPG. Well, okay. Thank you. Now you can go.
Is that DJ Jeanette?
I feel like Bree is involved with NPG Red Flag. I don't know who the hell is involved with NPG. Let's be real. We don't even know who they are. Bree could be NPG. That's the whole point. Is that Gypsy could be NPG. I could be NPG. None of you know who NPG is. Because if anyone did know, we would all know. Nobody knows. Morbid admitted that he just couldn't take again. And I respect him for that. You can't just take people at their word. So he has no proof that NPG is who they are.
I learned my lesson with that with cats and crochet.
What the hell? What? She's not gypsies, not no one knows. What? She's not gypsies, not no one knows.
They would have the biggest
No,
tantrum if we went and
that's the whole point. We don't know that it's not gypsy because we don't know who it is. Neither do you. So if you don't know who it is, and I don't know who it is, then how do we know it ain't her?
if I even show my head in one of their chats, they block me instantly. But yet they think it's fine to just run amok and call shit in other people's chats. Like there's
Let them come in here and say what they want to say. I mean, she just proved my point. No one knows who it is. So we don't know who it is exactly. It could be any one of us, is the point there. Not saying that it's gypsy, not saying it's Bree. I'm just saying it could be any one of us and none of us would know. That's the whole point. You just proved my point.
And we've all been trying to figure it out for like the past year. And there's a lot of creators that know how to dig deep, and yet nobody can figure out who they are to verify it. And it's suspicious.
Right. I know that NPG stands for Nicholas Paul Godejohn, but I can change the name of my page right now to Nicholas Paul Godejohn, and nobody would be. How
that means nothing. Yeah. Look at how many TikTok accounts were out there under Gypsy Rose.
That right? How many are Nick's name?
Exactly. Yeah. Means nothing.
Yeah, just because you based it off of his name, or if anyone based anything off anyone's name, doesn't mean that the lack of transparency still isn't on display.
My whole thing is if you wanted people to either help or not help, then what is the big deal of knowing who is behind it? You're saying it's their lawyers. So then why don't they just say, hey, we're the lawyers? Like, I'm lawyer so-and-so, and this is the page that we've made to help. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. It's not personalized to anybody. And at the end of the day, is MPG really helping? What is it doing? Like, it really hasn't done anything to help.
I would say creating chaos, but chaos isn't the right word. It's hesitancy.
Yeah.
It's
Confusion.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. It's unfortunate.
It really is. Because there really are people that give a crap. Now, am I going to say every creator that sits here and says, hey, you know what? Justice for Nick, justice for Dee Dee is totally in it? No, I've watched creators flip-flop time and time again. You know what I mean? Just because they get views better on the other side. So no, I'm not saying that every creator, everybody on these platforms are actually there to help, but there are a very large majority of, people that really give a damn. You know what I mean? Like, you all know what I feel about Nick, and I've been honest since day one, and it's never changed. I think they should both be in prison for life for what they did. However, Nick did not get a fair trial. He did not have a shot at a fair trial. And Gypsy was let loose because they didn't want a circus in town. And I don't think that justice was served for either one of them correctly. And I think that, one, Nick deserves a fair trial. He should have not been questioned by himself. He deserves the same justice that anybody else would have gotten, and he didn't get that. That's what my justice for him is for. Not because I think he didn't murder somebody and he shouldn't be in prison, but everyone deserves a fair trial. There's that. Same thing with Gypsy. Gypsy never got a trial. She deserved a trial. She shouldn't have been able to take that plea deal. That was not justice served. That was a bullshit circus during an election year. In my opinion, that was not justice. Yeah. I should have been able to, as her peer, sit on a fucking, you know what I mean, and be able to judge her.
Well, it was complete manipulation because, even her lawyer said, well, if it went to trial, we didn't really have a defense, and she would have been looking at
it would have been a shit show. And even they said, had that video of her showing him, the stabbing motion and wearing the bed, she'd have been strapped to a chair or been injected right in the arm, and she would have deserved every bit of that. And I totally agree. They knew that, and still she's out in 8 years. The woman who, if they played that one piece of evidence, would have been locked away for life, if not murdered by the government.
Yeah. I think the sentences should be reversed. I think she should be in for life and Nick should have gotten 10 years because I seriously believe that Dee Dee was gone before he got there.
Yeah.
Me too.
Her plea deal is an injustice to society. It is not fair that that murderer is loose living her best life when she deserves to be in prison. That's an injustice to me, a taxpayer. She should be in
Hey.
prison paying for her
And out
crime.
here, yeah. And she's out here saying that there's a injustice or corruption within the system. Yeah, you're damn right there is.
You're proof. You're living proof of it.
Exactly.
Make it make sense.
Do you guys want to know what words you can't use on YouTube that
What
just blocked me? Guys, try and write the word brownie and spell it BROWNIE. Just try and type it. Why can't I say that word?
Brownie?
I just typed it.
Yeah, can you see it?
No.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I can't
Did
see
it
this.
did it say you cannot type this in Ivory Rose's chat?
No, just it's in chat right now. It's brownie
I can't see it.
under Miss
Y'all,
Pamela.
everybody type brownie for me really quick.
Can anyone else type it? Because I can't see anybody typing it.
Really?
Yeah,
I just typed it in 5 times.
Yeah, I can't see you typing it though anywhere.
No, it's not showing. That is so funny. Brown
You can
just
type
shows
brown, but you can't type the word brownie. Yeah, Annie,
no
I can't.
words are filtered in my chat. Isn't that funny?
You guys can't see it, but I mean, you guys might be able to see it, but we can't see it. Anyone else can't.
Oh, Mozzie, I can see you wrote brownie.
Ozzy said it. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the only
they're
one
the only person that wrote it because they wrote with something else. If you write brownie on its own, it won't let you say it.
Hey, Ivory,
Yeah.
or Jackie, will you look in the chat for the people up in the box or up in the bubbles, whatever?
Oh,
Backstage.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's what we were talking about
Okay.
before, Sabrina.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I just looked at the thing.
You can only type the word brownie if you type something else with it. And why? That's so weird. Like, why would that be a filtered word?
That's funny because when I type it, I can see it on the screen, but
Comment
nobody else
usually
can.
means they think it's spam. Try changing it a bit, is what I just got when I tried to write brownie.
Hi, Bree.
That's so funny. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I can hear you. I didn't mean to take over the chat with that. I just thought it just said Murder Tales. You could not type that in Ivory Rose's chat, and I'm like, why?
It told me I can write it in my own chat. It told me it's spam.
Oh my god.
That's funny.
Yeah, you have to change it a little bit. Like, did a moderator change? No mod would have done that.
I have no filtered words in my chat. Yeah.
I'm not a mod, so I don't know how to do that.
Sorry, I just thought it was weird. I thought, is it because we're talking about Gypsy and YouTube doesn't like us saying the word brownie? Because that's what she did.
Pam just said Gypsy set up MPG by proxy. Definitely a possibility. And that's really, let's be real, because they won't verify who they are. Aren't we all kind of thinking that a little bit? Let's be honest. I am.
I am.
How do I know Christy's not running MPG? And how do I know, Dave, that you and Bobby aren't being manipulated by whoever MPG is? Like, I'm curious to know, Dave,
That's
if
what
you and
worries
Bobby have any proof that MPG is who they say they are.
Who's making all the noise?
What noise?
I hear like a rubbing sound, like it might be like your phone is set on something and you're moving. I don't know. I hear it too.
Whose phone set on what?
Bree is admitting
Are-
being involved with them. Pink, she did admit to being
Are
involved
you
with them,
walking
right? Or
around?
supporting them or whatever.
I am not.
Can
I am sitting
you
here.
hear it now?
No.
Okay, so
No.
it was my fan. It's hot as balls in Australia. Sorry.
Oh,
I'll switch you weathers, Jackie.
Dave, you're not what? Did Dave just say he's not MPG?
Do you want to come up, Dave? We can drop the link.
oh, he's saying he's not being manipulated, I think.
Oh, yeah, and honestly, you might not be. I just, you know what I mean. My whole thing is that we just don't know yet. We're just trying to be careful in support of Nick.
Exactly.
Make sure that we're not running with a false narrative. It's to defend him. It's just because we don't know who to trust for him, and we've seen so many people manipulate poor. Like, I'm not gonna lie. When I found out about April doing that whole thing, I lost a lot of respect for her. I really did.
Yeah. That was really shitty.
So, you know what I mean? Like, you're doing anything to be somebody at the cost of people's lives. And it's disgusting to me that you would stoop to that kind of level to be known or famous or whatever you're trying to do for yourself, that you would harm people's lives who've already had a fucked up hand at life. Like, they've already been
For content.
hand, and not even content, but just for notoriety. Like, you're trying to be somebody, like somebody making, fancy somebody, like making her name known is so important that I'm willing to ruin the lives of people whose lives have already been messed up so bad. How dare you do that?
Just like Gypsy.
And I will argue that until that's horrible. That's horrible.
The Miller thinks that it could be Dreamer.
No, they spell well. I checked. They make sense.
Yeah,
Dreamer would
Dreamer,
lose.
yeah.
She would lose her marbles. Like, she'd get too angry.
Yeah.
It's too grammatically correct to be Dreamer.
Oh yeah. Seriously. I can't even. But seriously, it's just that whole thing really bothered me. Like, finding out about it really made me so angry. Like, how dare you? Who do you think you are? Like, now you're after trying to manipulate. And listen, I ain't a fan of the Blanchards, but listen, you had a contract with them. You were supposed to do something for them. You didn't do it. They threw you away. Good. I don't judge them for that, because literally you were supposed to do a job for them and you didn't. And now here you are all upset because you didn't get to have your dream documentary or whatever you were supposed to do for them, and you didn't make a name for yourself. So you're going to go now and try and butter up to the Go-to-Johns, who you crucified in the beginning for the Blanchards. It's just wild to me. This whole situation is just wild to me.
Then she shoved the medical records behind a Patreon.
Pole, if you want people to, I mean, they'll even tuck dollar bills in your underwear. Go dance on a fucking pole if you need people to look at you like that. But what you're doing is wrong. It's wrong. There's no excuse for it. It's not okay.
Stop giving Gypsy ideas.
Listen, I'd have a lot more respect for that twirling on a pole. I'd tuck a dollar bill in her underoos if she was actually working for her money and not riding off the back of a dead woman and a crime she committed.
I'd drop a shiny penny.
Right in her ass.
It's the same as like when like her and Natasha, they go off about like people selling things. It's like you bitches had the medical records in the Patreon for years, and Natasha, I'm pretty sure you had the crime scene photos in a Patreon for years too. No one just wanted to pay for it. Like, how are other people the bad guy? Like, they were doing shit that was really bad too for a long time for a paycheck.
Yeah. Am I low?
No.
I ain't got morbid skills, guys.
Sabrina's voice is really, really loud on here, and Code Boxes was, but it's not as loud now. But when Sabrina first got on, I was like, "Whoa, who is that?" Because it was so loud.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. It
Morbid
was
needs
just
to
like
give a master class on how to use StreamYard. So, Morbid, do your thing, and I'm there.
Right? Sir Morbid, if you're in the chat, can you please do a tutorial on how to actually properly run YouTube? I will pay for the class. I don't give a shit.
Morbid's like, how come you're never up on my panel? I'm like, you give me serious mic anxiety.
Oh, I think it's hilarious the way that when someone comes up, he's like straight away with the thing, like trying to like adjust their sound. It's just so funny to me.
But
I think it's hilarious.
I get it being in the chat room because some people are louder than others. I, for some reason, don't notice it though, like he does.
I mean, my voice might be
control over
loud
it
too.
somehow. No, Code is really loud when he speaks, but
Oh, but what about Sabrina? Sabrina sounds like she's in a tunnel screaming.
Well,
say
it's because
something,
I'm in a
Sabrina.
well, it's because I'm in a shed, don't you know?
Yeah, no.
The party
That's so
shed or
funny.
the poontang shed?
Oh, hell
No,
no.
the Hills Have Eyes shed. That's what that chick said about Sabrina.
Yeah. And I just
I
turned
know
it
what I
into
was
a
going
running
to ask
joke.
you, Ivory. The Dawn that April did that with, is that the Dawn that recently passed?
Dawn Volker, did she pass? I heard that, but I'm not sure.
Like 2 months ago, they were saying that she passed, but then I heard somewhere else that
That was
she
a lie.
faked it. I don't know.
So did I. I heard that too.
I didn't know if it was the same Dawn.
I think it is, right? You guys in the chat, does anybody know? Pam,
I
you
got
would know.
told that she pretended that she did for attention because she's done that before. But then again, the source that I heard that off, I don't usually believe that a word they say either.
Now let me ask
Okay,
you.
someone said it was Dawn Brown that passed.
Oh, who's Dawn Brown? I don't know who that is.
I don't know.
But now going back to this Dawn Bolker chick. Now Dawn Bolker used to date Nick. I'm correct in saying that, right? Like she was Nick's girlfriend, supposedly. Did she know? Was she working with Fancy before that? Or did Fancy just get her claws into Dawn after she found out that Dawn was with Nick?
Probably the latter.
Like, that's what I was wondering. Like, did Fancy send her in as a covert girlfriend? Or
from my understanding, Fancy sent her in, under a different name. But I don't know that for sure.
oh wow.
Like trying to befriend him and then get him to say horrible things so that they could use it against him.
And they did. They let those messages out, right? I remember seeing those messages where they were getting Nick to say like that he would kill her and do all this stuff to her and threatening her.
I only heard that. I never myself saw the messages.
Jackie,
but it was a complete setup.
I remember seeing those messages. I don't know if I still have them, but I remember seeing them. But that was before I knew about all of that information. So it wasn't making much sense to me at the time. Now those messages make sense to me. I think I might still have them. I'll have to put them up here. Because I think they did come out with messages written to Dawn from Nick. Look, Dave said, yeah, saying that where he was like coerced into saying that he would kill her in her sleep if she did this. Like you can almost see that he was coming back at her. I don't know what she was saying. But yeah, there were messages where incriminating messages for Nick that were already let out there between Nick and Dawn. And I did not know that Dawn had anything to do with Fancy. I did not know that thing happened at the time when I saw these messages.
What was the turning point for Fancy where she went from the gypsy train to the other train?
when she lost the money and the deal to be able to do the documentary with the Blanchards, and the Blanchards let her go, then all of a sudden she turned on Nick's side because she still needs to make money off the story because it's the only story she had any knowledge of. And so she still had to ride the money train for the story, so she just flip-flopped sides.
Yeah.
In my opinion, of course.
Allegedly. For
Yeah.
entertainment purposes only.
Which is
Mhm.
absolutely disgusting. All
Okay, Fancy.
you want to be something? Like, I'm really disappointed in her. Like, I really did not know that much about Fancy, but when I saw that, and then again, I don't ride on anything without a little bit of proof. So when proof started being handed to me, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like that, you are disgusting.
But when you watch Gypsy's Revenge and you see her on there and she's talking shit, and then you see her on TikTok like Christy and Gypsy and this, and I'm like, hang on a minute, like, watch, like, I just saw you on my TV on an old documentary saying how much you think these people are fucking awesome, and now you're like, which side are you on?
And now she's running with this narrative that, because everything goes back to Christy Blanchard with Fancy. Everything, oh my gosh, Christy Blanchard's trying to do this. Now, I'm not a fan of Christy, y'all know that, but they're right in this aspect. You know what I mean?
Well, same with
To me,
KJ
yeah.
too, though, right?
Oh,
Oh, that
Didn't
one.
everything? Yeah, didn't her whole thing start with Christy as well?
Yeah, these people, yeah, they were good friends, and then KJ was trying to say that I just saw something not right, and so I decided to speak up on it. No, they let you go because you were sneaky and they saw it.
it makes you think that these people do anything for money. Like, they both, obviously, I don't think they agreed with the whole Gypsy thing, but they just wanted to, make money. So they went on it shows you that they will go against what they believe in just to be like famous, tell a story, whatever, Because I reckon Fancy would still be, a pro Gypsy person if she was getting paid the right way.
If that, yeah, she absolutely would be. If the Blanchards didn't give her up, she would still be totally Team Gypsy. She's only riding Team Nick now and looking into all of this stuff against Gypsy because she doesn't have a choice, and it's the only case that she has any kind of knowledge on.
Yeah.
It's so sad that
yeah.
they can't stick to the narrative and they just kind of go with what benefits them in the moment.
Who were the good wives? Like, who is the
That's
like?
that's Fancy.
No, I know, but like, who's the wives? Like, who's the other people that help behind the scenes? Like, she reckons she has this team of people. Who? That's what I don't get. Like, she used to have a team.
I don't know. Apparently, she has a psych team too. I don't know.
Stop it.
Does he refill your medications for you? Because that's not a team. So, the good wives are all of her moods.
That's a good one.
God.
Nice one.
I knew that
Good
she
job.
was full of shit and did things for other people, like if they thought she was funny, because like she was like having a go at me on her accounts, like, you are so nasty for what you said to Rod and blah, blah. And I'm like, you don't even like Rod Blanchard. You're sucking up his hole right now because you want to interview him. And then on one of Morbid's lives, there was all these comments, and someone commented, oh, that was funny what they said about Rod with the dog leash. And she's like, I know, that was me. And I'm like, so you have an Australian accent and you said that about Rod? You were just she was having a go at me 20 minutes before on TikTok. And then in Morbid's chat, because they thought it was funny, she was saying that was her, that she said it. And I'm like, you're a fucking liar. Like, why are you lying right now?
I just find it odd that you have Fancy and KJ, all right? The rest of us are actually pushing in that, or the majority of us. I'm not going to say everybody on either side is actually, but a lot of us, you're in it for the money. I make more views off of not Gypsy content than I do Gypsy content. So let me just put that out there. the Ramses, all the other things that made me more views, and I've gone viral more often when it's not Gypsy Rose content. I talk about Gypsy Rose because I'm trying to push a narrative out there, okay? Let me get that straight before someone's like, well, you're just doing it because you're getting paid to talk about Gypsy Rose. She is my least, the one that I make the money off of the least when it comes to views and stuff like that. Now, that being said, you know, a lot of content creators are sitting there trying to push the narrative that we don't believe Gypsy and that the injustices of everybody associated with the thing. Those two are just trying to push a name for themselves. It has nothing to do with they can give a crap about anybody but themselves. And I really, like, even Natasha, I really feel like to some extent has a soft spot for Nick. You know, I don't like her. She's not, you know what I mean, my favorite creator, but I really do believe that she has some kind of soft spot for Nick.
She seems to.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that is genuine about her. But KJ and Fancy are two that would flip flop. Literally, it makes no sense that they would do anything just to help themselves get a name. It's not about anybody else. You know, yet Katie, look what she did. First of all, you were really good friends with Christy. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but you must have done something wrong to Christy for her to knock you loose. And then what was the first thing you did? You went running to the internet showing messages between the two of you. Listen, okay, I don't like Christy. I don't like any of those people. But when you're friends with somebody and you have messages and you have all that, you just don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, were you really friends with her, or were you just using her to get information out of her?
It's a
And that's
conflict
what
of
I'm saying.
interest.
Like, when it benefits them, they're pro Gypsy, and then when that train dies, they go pro Nick, and they don't have like one narrative that they obviously truly believe in that they go with. They just kind of flop around to whatever benefits them personally, and
Yeah.
it's really not it's not becoming, but it's I'm not finding my words tonight. It's unethical.
Yes.
And
And I get that, you know, KJ thinks she's some kind of reporter, and you know what I mean? Like, I get ethics is out the window because it's their quote unquote job. They think it is. But I mean, I even think Fancy is worse than KJ. And I'm not a fan of KJ. Okay. I'm really not. I'm just going to be honest. I don't, you know what I mean? I think she does her work well, but like you said, there's no ethics behind her, no morals, and I just don't like that in a person. But Fancy, like when I found, like Fancy, you went and you manipulated a guy that just is unbelievable to me. Like, that man wasn't manipulated so bad in his life that he's facing life in prison because of it. He's spending life in prison because of it. And you figured you would go and take that man who's already vulnerable to it in such a horrific way, and you would manipulate him again. How fucking dare you? How dare you? Karma is a thing. And choo-choo, baby. It's coming for you.
yeah, it just takes away all credibility. That's the word I'm looking for. Like,
Yes.
if you're pro Nick, be pro Nick. But when it doesn't benefit you anymore for your views or whatever, don't flip flop, because all your credibility goes out the window. That's the word I was looking for. It's like you're one or the other. Stop flip flopping to whatever benefits you that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The fact that KJ moves on to other content is more respectable. April wants to go
she gets tired of the hate.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, this isn't, I'm not, you know, I don't, if you are a Fancy follower and you like her content, so be it. That doesn't, you know, that's okay with me. You know, I'm not sitting here trying to steer anyone away from any creator. If you like them, you like them. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to sit here and down, I just find it appalling, their actions. What they did was just not okay with me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want anyone to feel judged because, oh, I'm a follower of Fancy or I'm a follower of KJ. And, I don't want, there's nothing wrong with that. If you like their content, then so be it. That's a personal thing for you, and that's okay. I'm not going to judge anybody for that. I just wanted to speak on the fact that I find that just morally disgusting. And yeah,
I agree.
I usually don't talk about other creators, but you know what I mean? The only reason I'm talking about that is because there's an issue with it. That's a problem. You're harming another human. You know what I mean? What makes you any better than Gypsy Rose for doing what you did to Nick?
Exactly. She's harming that for her own benefit. It's all about her.
Yep.
Just like Gypsy.
Yeah.
She'll trash anyone in her path as long as it benefits her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not cool to me. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Like, I'm not trying to bash the woman. I just think recently I've learned a lot more about her than I ever knew. And that's because I looked into it. Like, I don't really feel a need to look into people until there's something, comes to my attention where I'm like, I might want to look into this. And when I did, it told me a big old story. So I just can't back someone like that. It goes against my ethical beliefs. So yeah, I'll just put that out there. Is Ken's brother blue shirt guy? Who's Ken's brother?
I think it is. Yeah, I think that came up in Morbid's last night that it was his brother.
Oh. I think she could still be charged again despite double jeopardy. I don't think they're going to charge Gypsy Rose again. If I'm going to give you my honest opinion, I think they should, but I don't think they will. I think that's just a shit show and nobody's about to take that on. And then it questions all of the court cases around that time in that area. They're not going to do that again. There's going to be too much in play for that. It wouldn't be worth them politically.
Too much cover up and corruption that would be revealed.
Yeah, I think that would just be a mess, and nobody in their right mind is going to take that on, unfortunately. So, Brownie, the guy, me, oh, okay. So, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, I feel so bad. I know that, what did you say, Miss Behaven, is the deadline for the letters?
Bobby said they all have to be postmarked no later than February 1st.
Okay. So yeah, I think right now the only thing that we can do to help Nick at this moment in time is really just get those letters out. I know I sent mine a while back. I know mine was done correctly. So yeah.
And it has to be snail mail, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I need to buy stamps.
So yeah, if you guys haven't written your letter and you want to do something for Nick right now, that is the only thing we can tell you to do for him. That's what he needs the most right now. And so, it takes a few minutes and a stamp, and really that's the best thing we can do. February 1st, Dave, you said they have to be postmarked by February 1st. So you got a couple of days. So yeah, right now that's all we can do. As far as NPG, everyone needs to come up with their own, do you. I'm not going to sit there and tell anybody not to believe them, or I'm just telling you, I don't. I can't validate them. I can't verify who they are, and I don't trust anybody by their word. And so,
Yeah, same. I want to trust them so bad, but they're just not being transparent, and it makes me hesitant.
A lack of transparency is a big red flag.
Yeah. And I'm trying to find the information to put in back chat for where to send those letters.
Oh, yeah. I have it somewhere too. If you want to send a letter and you don't know where to send it, this live will automatically post when we're done. And I will put it in the comments where you can send the letters and the information for the letters. I'll put a link there. Yes, I will put it in the comments of this live. I'll pin the comment. This way y'all can see it. Or is there anybody who's got it posted somewhere? Miss Behaven, do you know? Toddy may have it posted on hers somewhere.
Toddy might. Trixie does. And I just took a screenshot last night. I'm trying to find it. Do you know how to post a screenshot from StreamYard?
Ha! No.
Okay. Shoot. I'm trying to find it.
But I can post it in the community section in here. If you want to send me that, email it to me.
Okay.
Then I will post it in the community section, under that little community tab, and put it up as like a little thing. So if they need to see it, they can see it there as well.
Okay, I just found it.
Morbid's live. Scroll to the end of the live that Raina was on yesterday, and he posted it in there as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you got a few places. If you don't find it in one, we gave you a couple of options. I'll post it on the comments in here, and then I'll also post it on the community thing on my page as a picture, what you're going to send me, and that should happen.
I'm going to send it right now, I think.
I think Ken's unstable. Was hoping he got his act together, but I really doubt that now after the last live. Yeah, I don't know. He's definitely not stable. He might become more unstable because this situation seems to be getting a little crazy. I definitely sounded like he was drinking or he was preoccupied somehow.
Yeah, Gypsy was sitting right next to him, poking him.
Put one in the chat if you think. Put one in the chat if you think Ken is drunk. That's so funny. Did Cats and Crochet really pass away? Wait, what? Why did Cats and Crochet pass away? Is anybody here?
Okay, sorry, I just emailed you the info. Gosh, that's a whole shit show. I don't know. I heard that come up. I think it's a cry for attention. I think it's an Andrew thing. I don't know what to believe. Ever since that whole night where she got up on Morbid and he called her out, and then she started doxing me right and left when her and I thought were really close, but she totally ghosted me after that and just started talking shit. And
Really?
I think it's a cry. I think it's a cry for attention. Yeah, I don't understand why, but
Oh wow.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know all about that. And then she fake died, maybe?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah, really sad because I thought her and I were like way tighter than that. I mean, I spent hours on the phone with her in the middle of the night when her nephew was in the ICU. And I mean, I just really thought we were good friends and I really trusted everything she said. And then that day she was on Starlights and she was saying stuff. And I started thinking like, wait, what? Like, what is she talking? What? And then she got on Morbids and was embellishing stuff. And I don't know. I tried to get up there and just say like, Kat, stop doing this. And apparently she didn't like that and just started doxing me right and left on panel and then in chat, and haven't heard from her since. So,
Oh wow.
and yeah, and I just find it suspicious that her niece she keeps changing her screen name and floating around in different chats, and she's even talked to me under a different screen name. She didn't know that I knew that she changed it, and she's like, "Oh, are you the girl that knows cats and crochet?" Like, I'm really starting to believe her story, and I knew it was her saying it to me. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah, and I just find it weird that she just changed her screen name again last week after coming into Morbids and claiming that it was her daughter, saying she had a stroke, and
Oh
she
Lord.
changed the name since then, and then was in Morbids the other night as her daughter and the niece. It's all just weird and shady. I checked the obituaries that night and I didn't see anything, but I haven't checked them since. But I kind of think it's a cry for attention. I don't know. I don't know what to believe.
That's crazy. You got her, you got Aunt. Boy, Morbid attracts some winners, huh? Morbid, what are you doing? You're attracting the ones that need attention. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. It really is. It really is
I kept
sad. But
telling
on
her,
that note,
stop going on panels.
right?
We heard your story 1,000 times.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
but then like Gypsy, like the stories started changing, and I was like, wait, what? That's not what she told me. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Changing
On
for
that
more
note,
shock value, right? Yeah.
changing what?
Changing for more shock value.
Yeah, and her whole thing was like, well, I was there before all y'all, and you all don't know anything. I was there. But then the stories just got crazier, and I don't know.
Wow.
She's a nice lady, and I really thought we were friends, but I just question everything.
That's so sad.
Yeah. So
Miss Ivory, do you mind if I say something on behalf of somebody else?
No, please go ahead.
Okay. So I want to let everybody know who's up here talking and also who is in the chat. I've been given the okay to go ahead and say it. JJ is completely cut ties and jumped ship from Fancy. I just wanted to let you all know that. And when she's ready to say her side, she will do so.
That's fine. That didn't even. I don't even feel like that needed to be addressed. You know what I mean? Like, people are. You can be here and you can be there at the same time. I don't want anyone to ever feel like you, because you're in a chat with me hearing one side of one story, or you're just here to hang out, that you can't go be with another creator because I may have a certain feeling towards them. I just want everyone to be clear that I am not that person. That just because you're in here, you're always more than welcome here. But it doesn't mean because I don't like another creator, you can't be over there as well. I just want to make that clear. There is no judgment for any of that ever. And so, you know what I mean? Like, I always want people to feel like you can be here and be, I mean, you can be a great person. I mean, I didn't block them. You know what I mean? I don't judge people for who you watch or who you associate with, or, who you mod for, anything like that. So don't ever for 1 second feel like I would judge you or feel like you would have to pick or you can't be here. I don't ever want anyone to feel like that because I still watch people. I saw, a lot of people, and I don't ever want to make anybody feel like that. So, that being said, I know I don't want JJ to feel like under any circumstance that because I was talking about Fancy tonight or we brought that up, that, you felt a need to pick, because that is not acceptable. Like, you can follow whomever you want and be associated with whomever you want. And I don't judge anybody for that. It doesn't change your relationship or association with me. Does that make sense? Like, I don't ever want anyone to feel like because they're here having a conversation that they have to choose. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. If she wanted to disassociate from Fancy, that's her business, and that's okay. And so I just want to, put that out there. I don't want anyone to judge anybody. If somebody's in somebody else's panel and then they're here in mine, we don't judge each other. I found myself in some crazy places sometimes, and I was in Dreamers Live yesterday. Does that mean I flip-flopped or that I'm not, you know what I mean? So I just don't ever want anybody to judge or feel like they're being attacked in a live of mine because they, associate with somebody else, and that's perfectly okay. Everyone is their own person. Just because I think some one way doesn't mean if you follow me or subscribe to me, you have to think my way. In fact, I like it the other way. So yeah, I just want to put that out there because I don't ever want to make anyone feel like that.
I don't know who JJ is, but I'm kind of just a chat whore, I guess. I don't focus on one group. I watch everything, and that's how you're going to be the most informed. And then we're adults, you make decisions on what you decide. So if something happened with JJ and Fancy, then I assume that she came to that conclusion with facts and her own reasons. And yeah, it's awesome that, we're not like Bree where we're just going to kick you out if we see your name because you spoke to somebody else.
Oh, I'm like you. I'm in everybody's chat all the time. Information is good no matter where you get it from. As long as it's facts, it doesn't matter where you get it from. So I'm always everywhere. You all have seen
me too.
Everywhere. So
different conspiracy theories or ways like, different ways to think, things to look into. I mean, that's the best way to be.
I really like JJ. I wore an eye patch for her. My son's eye patch. Yeah, we really do like you, JJ.
I love JJ.
Now I want to
shortcake, and I absolutely love strawberry shortcake since I'm a kid. And now I want to move in with JJ, and so she got herself a stalker.
Man, I haven't had a strawberry shortcake in forever, but yeah, I'd like to know who JJ is. I'm sorry, I don't know.
JJ, she's great. She's good people. She's really good. But again, I know she was, she did a lot with Fancy, and that's okay. It doesn't make me like you any less. I like you, JJ, because you're JJ, not because you associate with anybody on social media. That and she has an amazing strawberry shortcake collection. Did I mention that? I'm a little jelly. But
wait, you're saying strawberry shortcake. Are you talking about the doll or the food?
Yes, the doll.
Oh, the doll. Oh my gosh.
Everything. She's got her bathroom is strawberry shortcake. Her bed, I'm so jealous. Everything. Roller skates, all of it.
Oh man, my mouth was watering for all the wrong reasons.
It's strawberry shortcake, the doll. It's so nostalgic.
Yeah.
I
remember when you'd squeeze her belly, she'd blow strawberry scented kisses at you.
Is it bad that I don't know what strawberry shortcake is?
Yes, Jackie, it is bad.
Go Google it.
Yes.
That's awesome. All right. I love you, JJ, already.
Right? But
I have a Hello Kitty cup.
It is after midnight. I gotta get up to sleep. I know my husband.
Good night, Ivory.
Thanks,
Ivory.
Thank
you guys so much. Thank
Good
you,
night.
Box. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, The Haven. JJ, I love you. So there's that. Guys, thank you all for being here. Thank you for the great conversation. And I'm gonna go live again here tomorrow. So I will see you guys then. Have a good night. Now, someone remind me how to get out of here. Crap. Did I do it?
I can get out of here, but